Well, it is a very, very special day, my friends. I'm so glad that you are here. I am ready. I have my snacks. I've got my pumpkin seeds. I've got walnuts should I need a hit of protein in the midst of this. We are about to see, on what could not be a more perfect day, the official process by which Joe Biden will be on a path to be inaugurated as the president of the United States 14 days from today, scheduled to start in just 10 minutes. Donald Trump is still ranting. Right now, Trump is speaking.
Decided with a mysterious vote dump of up to 100,000 votes for Joe Biden.
Trump still talking about these massive dumps that he's convinced are going on, but it is about to start. The action is starting to. Let's see if we have any audio here.
Impressed me. There's nothing remotely courageous.
Okay, so we are just getting close to this joint session of the House and Senate. And really, I mean, listen, the United States is in a tough place right now. There's no doubt about it. Pandemic, economy, etc. But we've removed Donald Trump. Joe Biden is coming in. Democrats have taken the Senate, officially called for Raphael Warnock, some calls for John Ossoff, and Donald Trump has lost everything. Donald Trump lost the House in 2018 for Republicans. He was made a one-term president in November, and he is now losing the Senate. And if you want to hear some sort of poetic justice, we have also just learned that Merrick Garland will be Joe Biden's attorney general. Mitch McConnell, dethroned as Senate Majority Leader, will now be under the thumb of Attorney General Merrick Garland, who he blocked from getting to the Supreme Court during Barack Obama's last year in office. It is omega lull, I think, is an accurate term for what is taking place right now. And Trump ranting from behind a foot of plexiglass. Listen to him continue.
88,000 ballots in Georgia were cast by people whose registers.
The crowd's silent. He's just reading about supposed vote dumps. It's an unbelievable day. It's really an unbelievable day. So I am glad that you're here. People are already throwing memberships at me. I want to say thanks to Michael Bull for signing up at joinpacman.com, Jason Bank, and John Borgeson, which already puts us at 3. We have a very special goal today. 306. And you know what that number is. We all know what that number is. That is the number of electoral votes that Joseph R. Biden Jr. secured in this election. And we are going to be going very, very strongly in that direction. Trump continuing to rant, demanding Mike Pence steal it for him. And as you can see here, things are starting to happen. Waiting for the C-SPAN feed. I really prefer the C-SPAN feed, but it is not yet live. I just want to have a couple of feeds ready for you guys. This is going back to video of Al Gore in the year 2000, who presided as vice president over the counting of his own defeat. And we are standing by here. I believe this is Mitch McConnell over here. So it's all happening. A really important symbolic super chat. Gremlin just sent a super chat for 11,780 cents. You understand? Trump demanding on the phone with Brad Raffensperger 11,780 votes. Gremlin just supporting me with 11,780 pennies, which we love. And it is just going to be crazy. Now, if your question is how long is this going to go on, I don't know the answer. There may be hours and hours of delays and debates. We just don't know. We're here to see. And we know that 11 or maybe 12 Republican senators plan to object. Object, sir. We don't know how long they will be able to extend it. We are going to be, as I mentioned, Donald Trump is still speaking. He's been going now for, how long has he been going? Let's see here. He's been going for about 55 minutes. He may be highly, highly triggered on Twitter as the day goes on. So we're going to, I mean, look at this. Even Mexico uses voter ID. He just can't stop. He can't stop. So we'll be watching the tweets. Earlier at this event, by the way, Fox News had to cut away from Don Jr. Because Don Jr. started ranting profanely. Check this out.
could have seen that coming. I had no idea. I'm glad
Donald Trump Jr. speaking to Trump supporters there in Washington. This is the Save America rally happening ahead of the certification of the electoral.
So even Fox News not able to handle the hopped up rantings of Don Jr. and they cut away from it very, very strongly. So we are watching what is taking place on the floor of the House of Representatives, anticipating the start within just 5 minutes of a joint session. Mike Pence will preside, and every 20 different things have been proposed as to what will happen here. But what we see is that Donald Trump has left the Republican Party in shambles. And why would it be anything else? Donald Trump comes through and destroys businesses. Donald Trump comes through and destroys relationships. Donald Trump comes through and declares bankruptcy. So Donald Trump got himself to be a one-term president, and he lost the House to the Democrats, and he lost the Senate to the Democrats. And then he's going to wash his hands of it and leave, although he is still ranting as we speak. Just listen.
This is in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. A career employee of the city of Detroit testified.
Doesn't even know what he's reading, my friends. Doesn't even know what he's reading.
All 100 senators, although there may be.
So I believe this is the senators going over to the House. For the senators to go to the House, they must be invited. It is sort of ceremonial, but not in the sense that senators don't go to the House unless they're invited to go to the House. And they are making their way across the central artery there at the U.S. Capitol. This is the Senate. You can tell from the desks and size and the fact that almost everybody's 90 years old, as we have a very old Senate in the United States. They are making their way over to the House of Representatives. And this is now the House of Representatives. And this is the C-SPAN feed, which I prefer. So they are waiting in the House. This is now the House for the senators to arrive, and they will soon. This is going to be a crazy, crazy day. And it's all finally going to happen. I do want to say thank you to the 24, thanks to a beautiful gift by Inconsolable, 25, 26, 27, 27 Twitch subscribers that have just entered the fray, putting us at 30. And then listen, guys, it's a better 2021. And that's why the coupon code is better21 at joinpacman.com. And I want to say thank you to the, how many people is it? 9 additional people who just grabbed memberships on my website, putting us at 39. It's now. People joining and asking when? It's now. Senators are making their way from the Senate over to the House of Representatives. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is waiting. There is Jim Jordan looking up old wrestling videos on his phone, I'm sure, waiting for things to happen as the senators make their way over. Republican Senator Josh Hawley sort of leading the pack of delusional objections from Republican senators. And there's going to be a lot here. David asking, where's the freaking gabagool? Well, that's a very entertaining story, but real detectives have to worry about a little thing called evidence. Lois Einhorn. Yes, from Ace Ventura. There is lunatic Congressman Louis Gohmert, and he is just a terrible, terrible person fundamentally. And this is going to get underway very, very soon. Let's take a listen to the soothing sounds. And remember, as this is going on, Donald Trump is still ranting about massive dumps.
Supposed to be voting for. They make up whatever they want. Nobody's ever even heard. They adjudicate your vote. They say, well, we don't think Trump wants to vote.
This would be a great split screen to do. Trump ranting for hours as the votes are all going to be counted in the House of Representatives. Now, I do want to tell you something. People as of this morning are telling me this isn't happening. Trump will be president. Here's just 2 examples, okay? This is from this morning. Man, you are so smart only playing clips of an interview. You do understand Biden did not win. There are 7 or now 8 contested states. I'm going to really enjoy seeing your expression when Trump overturns this election. That's not from 2 months ago. That's from this morning. Also this morning, Troy York calling in. He thinks that the races in Georgia are over. He thinks Republicans will sweep. This is Troy York this morning.
David Packman. This is Woody Underwood again.
It's really Troy York, not Woody Underwood.
Calling back. And I just wanted to say before I was cut off, I think Georgia, the Republicans are going to sweep Georgia.
No, they're not. It's over. That's a call from this morning. OK, they're in a fantasy world. Let's listen as the senators enter the House chamber to applause. I don't know why. Why are we clapping? Oh, wait, or is that Pence? Yeah, it's Pence. Don't clap for Pence. What a clown. Here we go. What a vile human. Imagine being Pelosi and having to deal with this sycophant. Uh-oh. Are those the massive ballot dumps? Are those the boxes? All right. So we still have a few minutes as they get going. Really, we are witnessing history here, my friends. We are really witnessing history here. And it is going to be something else. I do want to say thanks to the 20 people who just signed up via Twitch. I do appreciate that. As well as the 8 more who signed up on my website, joinpacman.com. And this is going to be interesting. What will Pence say? What won't Pence say? What will we hear from him? This is a joint session of the House and Senate. Nancy Pelosi apparently admonishing Mike Pence about what is going to go down here. Senators filing in have been invited to the House chamber. There's Sherrod Brown in the middle. That's Pence and Pelosi, of course. You can tell who's in charge from the body language here. It's very clear who is in charge. No question whatsoever. Dalton Belby says via Super Chat, there's Chuck Schumer, I'm trying to get your membership right now. I'll be back. There's Mitch McConnell dethroned powerfully as Senate Majority Leader. Isn't it great to see McConnell dethroned? It is really great for the world. Never mind the United States. It is a really, really good thing. Still getting more and more callers, people saying this isn't happening, Trump's going to be president. There's Amy Klobuchar, as you can see, talking to Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. Everybody just sort of getting settled, and soon the House will be called to order. I don't know if Pence is allowed to be that close to a woman without his wife around. That's a fair question. I don't know where Mother is. She's probably lurking somewhere, chaperoning in some sense. So we're getting there. Is there a chance Trump leads the crowd to the joint session? So interestingly, not only does the Senate need to be invited to go to the House of Representatives, the president also does. And without an invitation, Trump is not allowed in the House chamber. That, a lot of people may not understand that that is not merely procedural. Trump's still ranting. I mean, still going. Listen.
They said it's not American to challenge the election. This is the most corrupt election in the history, maybe of the world. You know, you could go third world countries, but I don't think they had hundreds of thousands of votes and they don't have voters for them. I mean, no matter where you go. No.
So Trump completely delusional, unable to accept reality, as you can see. This is Texas Senator John Cornyn right here. That might be Josh Hawley. I can't totally tell. With the masks, it's sort of tough. There is, of course, Nancy Pelosi.
Let us remind that each side, House and Senate, Democrats and Republicans, each have 11 members allowed to be present on the floor. Others may be in the gallery. This is at the guidance of the attending physician, and the sergeants at arms. The gentleman on the Republican side of the aisle will please observe the social distancing and agree to what we have 11
Good luck.
members on each side so that we can.
Oh, this audio is not good.
To this chamber, to this respect.
Guys, I'm going to bail to better audio.
By the rules. Let's go. Let's just start.
Here we go. All right.
Speaker Pelosi gaveling this session to order. Here's Vice President Pence.
Pence going maskless. And there's already people calling out.
Speaker, members of Congress, pursuant to the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
Here we go.
The Senate and House of Representatives are meeting in joint session to verify the certificates and count the votes of the electors of the several states for President and Vice President of the United States. After ascertainment has been had that the certificates are authentic and correct in form, the tellers will count and make a list of the votes cast by the electors of the several states. The tellers on the part of the two houses have taken their places at the clerk's desk. Without objection, the tellers will dispense with the reading of the formal portions of the certificates. After ascertaining that the certificates are regular in form and authentic, the tellers will announce the votes cast by the electors for each state, beginning with Alabama.
Correct.
Which the parliamentarians advise me is the only certificate of vote from that state and purports to be a return from the state that has annexed to it a certificate from an authority of that state purporting to appoint or ascertain electors.
I object.
Mr. Blunt.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia seek recognition?
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia rise?
Here we go.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Vice President. In order to follow with the Speaker's instructions that only a limited number of people be on the floor, may I ask how one would make an objection or make a parliamentary inquiry in the future if you're not on the floor but in the gallery?
These people are idiots.
Title III of the United States Code, debate is not permitted in the joint session.
The parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Vice President. I am not attempting to debate. I'm not attempting to debate. I'm trying to find out how a parliamentary inquiry or a parliamentary point of order would be made in following with the Speaker's request that most of us not be on the floor. How do you make one of those points of order when you don't know what's going to happen later?
Respectfully.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman's parliamentary inquiry constitutes debate, which is not permitted in the joint session of Section 18 of Title III, United States Code.
Didn't know we were doing a cringe stream today. Sir, how can I start a coup? What a mess.
Yeah.
Just come on in, everybody. Come on in. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, sir, it is.
We're electing a president here, despite the efforts being made.
Mr. President.
This is Roy Blunt, I believe.
I don't believe it's on.
It's not on.
A lot of debate as to whether the mics are on, which I love. Soon we will determine which mics are on and how the mics are controlled. I'm confident that will happen.
All right. Okay.
They're just dumping
They appear to
microphones.
be having microphone issues there in the House of Representatives. Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, one of the tellers.
Yeah, let's see if they're back on here. Could I get a little more kick drum in the ear? Yeah, thank you. Just an errant smack of the gavel. I'm not getting nearly enough snare from Roy Blunt in my earpiece.
Do you think it's working? So we'll try again.
Mr. President.
Order in the chamber.
Mr. President,
the gentleman will continue.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alabama seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 9 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 9 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Alabama that the teller has verified appears to be regular in form and authentic? Hearing none. This certificate from Alaska, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from that state that purports to be a return from the state.
What a time to be alive.
Next to it, a certificate from an authority of the
state. Is this on?
Purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alaska seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 3 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Alaska that the teller has verified appears to be regular in form?
No. Guys, just a quick thing. A lot of people are saying, why are they calling him Mr. President? The vice president is the president of the Senate. That's his capacity here, okay?
Hearing none. This certificate from Arizona, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote that the state...
We may get our first objection here.
State, and that has annexed to it a certificate from an authority of that state purporting to appoint or ascertain electors.
We may get an objection here.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arizona seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 11 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 11 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Arizona that the teller has verified appears to be regular in form and authentic?
President, I, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
For what purpose does the gentleman from...
Here we go.
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
It's all sweaty.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Oh, God, it's Cruz. Oh, my God, it was vile. Imagine clapping for this. Oh, boy. Tomorrow's going to be sad for these guys, huh?
An objection presented in writing and signed by both a representative and a senator complies with the law, Chapter 1 of Title 3 of the United States Code. The clerk will report the objection.
I has a coup.
Objection to counting the electoral votes of the state of Arizona. We, a member of the House of Representatives and a United States Senator, object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Arizona on the ground that they were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given.
That's not going to stand, my friends.
Are there further objections to the certificates from the state of Arizona? The chair hears none. The two houses will withdraw from joint session. Each house will deliberate separately on the pending objection and report its decision back to the joint session.
So that's going to be the process.
Now retire to its chamber.
So this is the process. They are going to do this for every one of the states in which they will be objecting. There will be a break, and there will be a debate, and then there will be a vote. There is no belief at this time that Republicans will be able to sustain objections on any state at this point in time. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of taxpayer dollars. This is not going to prevent Joe Biden from being sworn in 14 days from now. But this is what Republicans have chosen to do. They are going to object at minimum, I would believe, to 6 or so states. I assume they will object to Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania, as some say. I assume they will object in Georgia. They've objected in Arizona. They may object in Nevada. They may object to Wisconsin, Michigan. They're coming from South America. These things are real. They're really coming from everywhere. So this is going to be the process. We are suspended and shut down at Arizona, and we'll see what the debate is going to look like. We'll see how long they really want to drag this out, but this could go very late into the night. If there are 6 sets of objections and 2 hours of debate on each, that's 12 hours. That puts us at 1:16 a.m. in the morning, and that doesn't count going back and forth and accepting some of the votes. So if it's interrupted that often, and they will continue to strike and strike and strike, we could be looking at 18 hours of this. We could be looking at 16 hours of this. We don't know. But they will now retire to their respective chambers. As you can see, they are carrying out each time. Apparently, they will be carrying out the ballots and then bringing them back. Now, in the meantime, the Donald Trump lunatic march has ended, and Aaron Rupar does have clips. I don't know if while they get resettled, you guys want to look at some of the clips from Trump. That would be something we can do. Trump again dancing to YMCA. Just moments ago as he rapped. I don't know how long it'll take them to get set back up there, but this is going to be quite a process. I want to say a huge thank you to the 3 additional, now 39 people who grabbed memberships at joinpacman.com. I really do appreciate that. And then I also very much appreciate the 4 folks who just signed up on Twitch, putting us at 102. We do have a goal of 306 today, 1 for each electoral vote that Joe Biden has obtained. So this is the key question via Super Chat. Will the objection do anything realistically? No. Trump said he's marching down to the House with them. I would love video of that. Let's see if we can find any video of that. Let's see. Do we have any video? Trump march live. I would love to find video of that, but I am just not seeing it. Oh, hold on. Maybe. No, I'm unable to find. If Trump is marching to the House, I would be interested in seeing that, but I am not seeing that. Now, for people asking, didn't they do this on December 14th? On December 14th, each state voted. Now they are counting those votes in Washington, D.C. On the 14th, everything happened in the states. Now it's all being done in Washington, D.C. Let's take a little bit of a listen to an update as to what's going on.
Yeah, and we see the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, she remains in the chair in the chamber. What will she be doing today?
Right.
She has said that she will be in the chair during these objections, during debate, questioning the validity of President-elect Joe Biden's electoral votes. Of course, she rarely presides over the chamber, which she leads. That is usually not only during very big moments. We saw it during the end of impeachment. We see it during the start of a new Congress.
Right.
And other key details.
All right, so we're going to continue keeping an eye on what goes on here. Everybody now just waiting for this debate to start. Debate will happen in the House and Senate separately, and that is what we are standing by for. at this point in time. Welcome to everybody who is joining us. We do have, we've got a great crowd here today, actually. We've got, what is that? 3 and 3 is 6, carry the through. 53,000 folks watching with us today, and the drama will escalate momentarily as we will actually hear what exactly will be the factual, and by factual, I mean alleged factual basis of these objections from Republicans. Of course, Republicans losing control of the Senate with the 2 wins in Georgia yesterday, early this morning by Raphael Warnock. Remember, radical liberal Raphael Warnock is now going to be radical liberal Senator Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff as well. Very, very important stuff taking place here. Carlos says, I have to say, this is gut-wrenching. The United States as we know it died today. Let's hear what's going on in the House.
February 4th, 2021, in accordance with the guidance and advice of the attending physician. Members are advised to remain in the chamber only if they are participating in debate and must wear a mask at all times, even when under recognition for debate.
Wow.
Members must also practice proper social distancing when present in the chamber. Let the record show that there is a gross violation of this guidance from the attendants on the Republican side of the aisle. Please, in the interest of your own health,
disgusting,
and as an example to the American people, abide by the numbers, now up to 25 on each side of the aisle, to participate in this stage of the development, okay? Pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, and Section 17 of Title 3 of the United States Code, when the 2 houses withdraw from the joint session to count the electoral vote for separate consideration of an objection, a representative may speak to the objection for 5 minutes and not more than once. Debate shall not exceed 2 hours, after which the chair will put in the question, shall the objection be agreed to? The clerk will report the objection.
So meanwhile, guys, there is now an attempt being made to breach the barriers at the Capitol. They are becoming violent. Look at this. They are trying to force their way into the Capitol. This is a violent uprising from pro-Trump lunatics. Look at this. This is live. What is wrong with the country?
You're a fucking traitor to your country! Yeah! You're a fucking traitor!
Oh, now they don't like police, I guess. Look at this. They're trying to breach the barrier.
Why can't you work for the people? Donald Trump works for the people?
Businesses in D.C. widely boarded up because of the anticipation of exactly this. And look at this. They are trying to force their way in. I guess they think entering the Capitol will make Trump president somehow. And then meanwhile, inside the chamber, the debate continues. Let's hear from Steve Scalise why he thinks Biden shouldn't be president, I guess.
Speaker, in a number of those states, that constitutional process was not followed. And that's why we're here to object. If you look at what the requirement says, nowhere in Article 2, Section 1 does it give the Secretary of State of a state that ability. Nowhere does it give the governor that ability. Nowhere does it give a court that ability. It exclusively gives that ability to the legislatures. And in fact, in most states, that's the process that was followed. But for those states that this wasn't followed, unfortunately, this is not new. We've seen over and over again more states where the Democrat Party has gone in and selectively gone around this process.
Yeah.
That has
just happens to be the states Trump needs to win.
Follow the constitutional process.
Okay, they are pepper spraying Trumpists, I am being told. The debate going on inside is ridiculous. Outside, you can hear, it sounds like, are those canisters, gas canisters? What is that noise? Is that are police deploying? They're trying to force their way into the U.S. Capitol as we speak. And as you can see, they are trying to just maintain. Oh, and there again. Oh, wow. Got sprayed right in the face. Oh, my God. It is getting aggressive. Point blank spray in the face. Oh God, is that they're deploying the gas, the spray rather, very liberal. Oh, and now this guy's getting pushed, and he's casually drinking water. How is this happening in this country? Oh, some of these people are actually deliberately scuffling with law enforcement even. Now, if the profile of some of these folks were different, would people have gotten shot already? I mean, I'm asking that seriously. But watch, by the way, the people who for the last 6 months have said police brutality is not a problem, in the next 6 hours, all they're going to talk about is how police brutality is a problem. So that's outside the Capitol. That's outside the Capitol. Inside the Capitol, things that make just as little sense are going on. Here is Steve Scalise with a sort of problematic mask explaining why Biden shouldn't get the votes from Arizona.
Every single Democrat voted against it. They don't want to fix this problem. But the Constitution is our guide. And it's time we start following the Constitution. It's time we get back to what our founding fathers said is the process for selecting electors. That's the legislatures. In public view, not behind closed doors, not smoke-filled rooms, not bullying somebody that might give you a better ruling. Let's get back to rule of law and follow the Constitution, Madam Speaker. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Now, he was only supposed to have 5 minutes total. It seems he went longer.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman?
You know, I actually think Democrats shouldn't even participate. Like, I know they will because they'll say everything's fine, everything's normal. I actually think the Democrats shouldn't even participate. Just let the Republicans rant and then go to the votes and get back to the joint session and count the next state.
Gentlewoman is recognized for
Madam
5
Speaker,
minutes.
Madam Speaker, this day marks a crossroads for American democracy. Those who object to the counting of the Electoral College votes, which reflect the votes of the American people, want to substitute their preferences for the voter's choice. That's not what our Constitution requires, and it's at odds with the American Democratic Republic. If Congress selects the next president instead of American voters, we'll have no need for an Electoral College. In fact, we'd have no need for presidential elections at all. We'd be moving from a government elected by the people to a government selected by those already governing. That's not America. In the United States, we abide by the choices of the people, not an elite few. The framers of our Constitution considered whether to have Congress select the president and specifically rejected it. Instead, they wrote Article 2 and the 12th Amendment. Article 2 creates the Electoral College, where each state appoints electors.
So Zoe Lofgren simply explaining this is not how it works. The same debate in the House being covered here by CBS News And then this exact same statement being covered by PBS. And this is part of the first objection. If you're just joining us, we got through Alabama and Alaska. And when we got to Arizona, an objection was heard from the floor. The joint session separated. The Senate will debate for up to 2 hours, the House for up to 2 hours. There is the expectation that there will be objections to 6 or 7 different states. If there are 2 hours for each of those, plus some additional time, we're expecting that there could be about 16 hours of this, just a very, very rough estimate. I have no intention of streaming all of it. My idea is to be here for some time, and then I'm going to take a break, work on tomorrow's show, and get some other things done. And then I will probably just be back tonight when hopefully we will be getting back to, we will be at, I don't know, maybe by the states that start with the letter D by tonight or something like that. I am curious whether there will be snacks served for these folks. Yeah, because they're going to be here for a long time. Now, if you want to understand the level of violence that is starting, this is the Senate chamber now. In the meantime, Mitch McConnell is over there. Pro-Trump protesters are right outside the Capitol trying to breach. They are physically trying to get in. They are scuffling with and attacking officers of the law who they claim to respect. People have been pepper sprayed. This is happening just feet from where this is going on. The other stuff is going on. Let's listen a little bit to the Senate.
Taking a step that has never been taken in American history.
And remember, McConnell is not participating in these objections, from my understanding.
And overturn a presidential election. I've served 36 years in the Senate.
Imagine being Mitch McConnell, and on the day that you find out you're losing your Senate majority leadership, you also have to go out there and admonish your fellow Republicans for trying to steal an election. This has got to be one of the worst days in Mitch McConnell's political career.
To constitutional arguments, to sweeping conspiracy theories.
Wow.
I supported the president's right to use the legal system. Dozens of lawsuits received hearings in courtrooms all across our country. But over and over, the courts rejected these claims, including all-star judges whom the president himself has nominated. Every election, we know, features some illegality and irregularity, and of course, that's unacceptable. I support strong state-led voting reforms. Last year's bizarre pandemic procedures must not become the new norm. But my colleagues, nothing before us proves illegality anywhere near the massive scale that would have tipped the entire election. Nor can public doubt alone justify a radical break when the doubt itself was incited without any evidence.
Right. What he's saying basically is your feelings can't override the facts here, and Mitch McConnell is absolutely right about that. And as you can tell, obviously he is under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party. There's no other way that Mitch McConnell could have come to this conclusion. That's a joke. That's a joke. So debate happening in the Senate. Debate happening in the House. Here is Jim Shorts Jordan objecting. Object.
We asked Chairman Nadler, Chairwoman Maloney for an investigation. They said no. Wouldn't want to investigate something that half the electorate has doubts about. It's just the presidency of the United States. Why? Why not one single investigation? Why not even one single hearing over the last 9 weeks in the United States House of Representatives? Why?
Because there's no
evidence. All the Democrats care about is making sure President Trump isn't president. For 4.5 years, that's all they've cared about. July 31st, 2016, before he was elected the first time, Jim Comey's FBI takes out the insurance policy.
I cannot in good conscience broadcast to you Jim Jordan's rantings. We're talking about James Comey now. Now you're raising James Comey. So what Republicans are doing in the House of Representatives is disgusting. What Republicans are doing in the Senate chamber is disgusting. Now, Mitch McConnell happens not to be joining them. I want to be clear. Mitch McConnell's disgusting, and he's losing his leadership because they lost Georgia today, and he's horrible. He's not participating in this, and that's good. But what Republicans are trying to do in the Senate is also disgusting. And meanwhile, right outside, this is at the Capitol, lunatic Trumpists, they've now picked up a barricade. They are trying to force their way into the Capitol to disrupt what is going on. The pepper spray is being released. It's free flowing. Look at this. Sounds like bombs are going off. I understand why businesses in D.C. have been boarded up. I understand why people I know who live in D.C. are staying home or even out. Look, they've picked up barriers and they're trying to look at what is going on. The left is so violent, right? I mean, look at this. Wow. This is the United States. Unbelievable. How dare you, traitor? The police are the traitors, I guess. Ooh, wow. A lot of pepper sprays flying around here. Unbelievable. Remember, things were going to be crazy in Joe Biden's America. These are Trumpists while Trump is president, trying to execute a coup. And, oh, there's the pepper spray again. At what point do we say it's an attempt at a violent coup? I mean, they want the guy who lost to be president, and they are becoming violent to make that a reality. At some point, isn't this a violent coup attempt? In other words, it's no longer just rhetoric.
I'm just peaceful protesting. Peaceful protesting with a Trump flag.
Look at this guy. No mask. What insanity. This is on a channel called Status Coup. It's a pro-Trump channel, is my understanding. This is people asking. This is, I believe it's a pro-Trump channel. I mean, listen, some of these people are going to end up getting the crap kicked out of them by police if they haven't already. There's no question. You can't. And there they go. Wow, with more of the pepper spray. Is that a pepper spray gun? Is this guy about to go point blank in this guy's face? Wow, this is really, really depressing. And as you can see, there's all sorts of layers of backup. I mean, even if they were able to breach this line of security, I don't think they're breaching the ones that's up on the stair. I just don't think they're getting in today. And I think if there was any chance that they would, the National Guard would be deployed. But how? I mean, I want to say it's ironic, but the same people before who were saying deploy the National Guard because of the George Floyd protests, they are the ones now who may cause the National Guard to have to be deployed. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And meantime, here is Adam Schiff in the House of Representatives as debate happens about the Arizona electoral votes.
That we are here
with a substantial number of our members seeking to overturn an election is remarkable, tragic, and all too predictable. For it is the natural result of a locomotive set in motion months ago with a myth. For weeks and weeks before, during, and after our election, a dangerous falsehood was propagated that our election would be marred by massive fraud. Never mind, it was the same election which brought the very men and women to this chamber who would challenge its results. What value has consistency when measured against ambition? A former senator from Georgia, remarking on a contested election over a century ago, said that able men, learned men, distinguished men, great men in the eyes of the nation seemed intent only on accomplishing a party triumph without regard to the consequences to the country. That is human nature. That is, he said, unfortunately, party nature. Was he right? We stand in a house which was once the place of giants. Have we become so small? Does our oath to uphold the Constitution, taken just days ago, mean so very little? I think not. I believe, to quote our dear departed friend Elijah Cummings, that we are better than that.
This is completely surreal. Here is the Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Today, it will be confirmed once again, something that is well known and well settled. The American people elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the next president and vice president of the United States. And yet, a number of our colleagues have organized an effort to undermine and object to that free and fair election. They're in the minority. They will lose. They know that. They have no evidence of widespread voter fraud upon which to base their objections. That's because there is none. There is none. Not brought before any of the courts successfully. They know that President Trump and his allies have suffered a defeat in court after court across the country, losing no fewer than 62 legal challenges. And I might add, many Republican-appointed judges, some appointed by President Trump, rendered those decisions. They know, you all know, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States on January 20th. But they are going to object to the counting of the vote anyway. And in the process, they will embarrass themselves. They will embarrass their party.
And the country.
And worst of all, they will embarrass their country.
There it is.
This insurrection was fortunately discouraged by the leadership of the majority party.
True.
But it was not quelled. It is a very sad comment on our times that merely the accepting the results of an election is considered an act of political courage. Sadder and more dangerous still is the fact that an element of the Republican Party believes their political viability hinges on the endorsement of an attempted coup. That anyone, much less an elected official, would be willing to tarnish our democracy in order to burnish their
they're eager
fortunes. Over the course of the afternoon, and however far into the evening this band of Republican objectors wants to take us,
right,
senators of goodwill from both sides of the aisle will explain why these challenges must be dismissed. The senators from states whose electoral votes are being challenged will explain how the allegations of fraud are baseless.
Yeah. So let me give everybody a reset, because if you're just joining us, I do see that we have a total of 70,000 people watching, and I know many of you have only been here for the last 15 minutes. So let me just give you a reset as to what it is that is going on. 11 a.m. this morning, Donald Trump, he was an hour late, but supposedly at 11 a.m. this morning, Donald Trump was speaking at some rally to steal the election, supporting this coup. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, a joint session of the House and Senate began. This means senators walk from the Senate over to the House. The House is much larger, and if they are to meet together, they must do it on the side of the House. And under the stewardship of Vice President Mike Pence, they started counting electoral votes. Now, remember, the electoral votes were cast on December 14th. No votes are being cast here. They are merely being counted. It is essentially ceremonial unless a state has failed to vote. In this case, no state failed to vote. Every state voted on December 14th. They got through they go alphabetically. They got through Alabama. They got through Alaska. And when they got to Arizona, Republicans stood up and objected. That objection triggers up to 2 hours of debate. The joint session dissolves. The senators have walked back to the Senate. That's this debate going on. The members in the House of Representatives are in this debate over in the House. And after up to 2 hours, they will vote as to whether to uphold the objection on not counting the vote from Arizona or whether to count it. We already know that Republicans don't have the vote in either chamber. Republicans don't have the vote in either chamber. And this is simply going to delay what is obviously going to happen. Now, in the meantime, there is a violent insurrection of Trumpists that are just a few hundred feet from where this is going on. This is going on. They have been physically battling with police. They have been trying to push these barriers and essentially breach the security and get into the Capitol building. And these folks walked over, many of them, from Donald Trump's speech. The president of the United States incited this. And you see that now things have calmed down a little, but then the scuffles go and then the pepper spray comes out. There's the pepper spray again. And I don't know how long this is going to go on. I don't know which will go on longer. I don't know if this will go on longer or this is going to go on longer. It's unclear at this point in time. And now, in the meantime, I do want to mention one other thing. In the midst of all of this chaos, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 600 points. And of course, there is never any way to say for sure why a market does anything. Okay. But it seems as though what's going on, which is we are formalizing the win of Joe Biden. We know that there will be Democratic control of the Senate. These things at minimum are not spooking the market. And we're now thinking about a $2,000 per person stimulus. And Bitcoin has also exploded. I mean, it's all crazy. Where is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin is up another 3%, it's up to 35. That is insane. I've disclosed. I mean, I said on January 1st, I sold 15% of my Bitcoin just to lock things in. But because it's exploded even more in these last few days, I ended up with more. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on. It's insane what's happening here. But that is basically what we are watching right now. This is outside of the Capitol building. This is in the Senate. And then this is in the House of Representatives. And this could go well into the night, depending on how many objections we are expecting. Let's see what's happening.
Gentleman, for what purpose does the gentleman from Maryland seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to the objection.
The gentleman is recognized without objection for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you first and all my dear beloved colleagues for your love and tenderness, which my family and I will never forget.
His son just died. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Oh, there's our friend Hakeem Jeffries right here. He's been on the show before. There he is. Nice guy.
Thank you again. Abraham Lincoln, whose name is a comfort to us all, said, "We've got the best government the world ever knew." It's best because the first three words of the Constitution tell us who governs here: we the people. Watch this proceeding today and tell the world with pride, as Lincoln did, about the brilliant meaning and promise of our country. Our government belongs to the people. As President Ford said, "Here the people rule." Today, we are in the people's house to complete the people's process for choosing the people's president.
Now, meanwhile, unfortunately, because of growing unrest from this pro-Trump rally, evacuations have started in Washington, D.C. Evacuations at multiple buildings at U.S. Capitol complex amid D.C. protests. Evacuate Madison due to police activity. Occupants should remain calm and move in a safe manner to the exits. Take enunciators on the way out. Close doors behind you. Proceed immediately to your designated assembly area. This is happening. Capitol Police have evacuated staffers from the Madison and Cannon buildings at the Capitol complex amid protests in Washington, D.C. The evacuations from the building come amid protests over Congress's certification of the electoral vote. Inside the chamber has remained calm. And for people asking if they've breached the building, they have not. They have not breached the building. This is all happening outside for the time being. I don't believe there is any way they are going to be able to breach the building. There is one line of police well outside the building and another one on the stairs. Although I'm trying to figure out, what is this guy doing? What is he doing? What is he trying to rip open here? You see this guy here? He looks like he's trying to, I don't know what this is a door to. See there? Oh, now he pressed it. Okay. And then he's going in. And now he's cutting with a knife. Remember, guys, this is just property damage, so we don't have to worry. They're cutting their way in. I don't know what this is. Sometimes they use these tents to create a perimeter. It's sort of an outdoor-indoor transition space where you have security. Here's a guy just cutting it all apart. Yep, these are the people who said when a window broke during the George Floyd protests that, that should be a long time in jail. They're cutting their way in here. Oh, but he's coming up against metal. Look at that. What a disappointment. Unbelievable. What do they like? What do they think is going to happen? You think you're going? Look at this. You think you're going to get in, and Chuck Schumer will say, "You know what, guys? You're right. Let's give it to Trump because you cut your way into the tent." Now this guy is signaling for people to go in. This is just a tragedy. This is a tragedy. And meanwhile, the debate continues, wasting. So here we have destruction of federal property. That's costing you money. That's costing me money. Here we have a waste of taxpayer money because Ted Cruz is ranting. Let's listen to Ted Cruz.
To count the votes. The framers knew what they were doing when they gave responsibilities to Congress. We have a responsibility. And I would urge that we follow the precedent of 1877.
Oh, dear God.
The Electoral Count Act explicitly allows objections such as this one for votes that were not regularly given.
Of course they were.
And let me be clear, this objection is for the state of Arizona, but it is broader than that.
We know.
It is an objection for all 6 of the contestants.
Yeah, they'll be doing this all night.
Objective, impartial body hear the evidence and make a conclusive determination. That would benefit both sides. That would improve legitimacy of this election. And so let me urge my colleagues, all of us take our responsibility seriously.
Right. Yeah, we can tell.
I would urge my colleagues, don't take perhaps the easy path, but instead act together, astonish the viewers, and act in a bipartisan sense to say we will have a credible and fair tribunal, consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence, and make a conclusive determination whether and to what extent this election complied with the Constitution.
Give me a break.
Senator from Minnesota.
Mr. President, I first would like to say I appreciate the words of our leader, Senator Schumer, as well as Senator McConnell's call for a higher calling. January 6th is not typically a day of historical significance for our country. For centuries, this day is simply the day that we receive each state's certified electoral votes.
Amy's going to clobber everybody.
Without much fanfare. In fact, this is only the third time in 120 years that the Senate has gathered to debate an objection, and as Senator Cruz well knows, both times these objections were resoundingly defeated. The last time the vote was 74-1. Why? Because senators have long believed that they should not mess around with the will of the people. They have understood the words of our great former colleague John McCain from the state of Arizona, who once said that nothing in life...
I see people just joining us asking what is really the most important question. Will this make any difference? And the answer is no. The answer is no. This will delay the inevitable. And Republicans have forced this upon us, and it could be 6 hours, it could be 8 hours, it could be a lot more time. This is lunatic Republican Lauren Boebert. She's really bonkers.
In Arizona, the deadline for voter registration for the 2020 presidential election was October 5, 2020. Using COVID as a reasoning, Democrats filed a lawsuit to extend this deadline by 18 days. And an injunction was made by an Obama-appointed judge preventing the Arizona Secretary of State from enforcing the constitutional deadline set by the state legislature. As a result of this frivolous partisan lawsuit, 10 extra days were added via judicial fiat to allow voter registration.
It was apparently a stick shift Fiat 500, actually, that they did it by. I would try decaf if I were her. I think I would switch to decaf right away. So this is what we have. We have no other choice. That we can only wait and see how long this goes on. I apologize. I've fallen so behind in thanking people who have been supporting. I do want to thank 27 more people who just grabbed Twitch subscriptions, which puts us at 146. And also everybody who's been signing up on my website, joinpacman.com, an additional 16 of you, which puts us at 162. I really appreciate that. And we've been doing a lot of streaming and extra stuff this week. Best way to just kind of say we like it, show your support, is go to joinpacman.com and grab one of those memberships. Let's tune back in here.
The House will be in order.
If we allow state election laws as set forth by state legislatures to be ignored and manipulated on the whims of partisan lawsuits, unelected bureaucrats, unlawful procedures, and arbitrary rules, then our constitutional republic will cease to exist. The oath that
I don't know why she's yelling.
This past Sunday to defend and support the Constitution makes it necessary for me to object to this travesty. Otherwise, the laws passed by the legislative branch merely become suggestions to be accepted, rejected, or manipulated by those who did not pass them. Madam Speaker, I have constituents outside this building right now. I promised my voters to be their voice.
This is what they're doing.
Which I now serve, it is my separate but equal obligation to weigh in on this election and object. Are we not a government of, by, and for the people? They know that this election is not right, and as their representative, I am sent here to represent them. I will not allow the people to be ignored. Madam Speaker, it is my duty under the U.S. Constitution to object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Arizona.
Yeah, you said that already.
Who stand here today and accept the results of this concentrated, coordinated, partisan effort by Democrats, where every fraudulent vote cancels out the vote of an honest America, has sided with the extremist left. The United States Congress needs to make an informed decision, and that starts with this objection. I yield the balance of my time to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Brian Mast.
If she spoke louder and faster, I might be more convinced.
Madam Speaker, I rise as well to support the objection, and I rise with a simple question. Can the chair honestly tell Americans that with pending Supreme Court legislation, or pending Supreme Court case over legal observers not being allowed to observe and inspect signatures, that the laws and Constitution of that state were not violated to change voting outcomes? Madam Speaker, I will wait for a response.
Pathetic.
Has 25 seconds remaining.
Madam Speaker, I will repeat my question. Can you honestly tell Americans
that's great.
that with pending Supreme Court case over legal observers not being able to observe and inspect signatures, that the laws and Constitution of Arizona did not be violated to change voting outcomes? And I will wait for a response.
Okay. Gentleman's time has expired. To what purpose does the gentleman from Colorado?
Oh, I love it.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to the objection.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, today is an important day. In 1862,
oh man,
during the depths of the Civil War,
this is all just going absolutely nowhere. Okay, so we're still in objection number 1. Just as a reminder to everybody, this is what's going on in the Senate. We've seen what's going on in the House, and it's not a bad use of time. Just wait for Nancy Pelosi to answer. And this is what's going on outside. Now, do people know whether the plan is for the protesters to stay? Like, how long are they planning to stay? Are they going to kind of tire themselves out? I'm not really sure I understand what their plan is, quite frankly.
Who do you serve and who do you work for?
Oh, that sounds like Alex Jones. Is that Jones? Oh, no, we're losing the feed. That's too bad. Yeah, and it's just that feed in particular that we're losing. Let's see if I refresh it. That sounded very much like Alex Jones. Ooh, the feed's coming in and out. That's too bad. If anybody knows of some other feeds that are there, I'd definitely be open to, actually, oh, wait a second. I thought I had another one, actually. No, I don't. Yeah, a lot of the people sound like Alex Jones, to be perfectly frank. Okay, I'm told that woke Twitch has some content, so we'll let that load. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of insanity going on here. It's chaos right now, guys. It's absolute and total chaos as this all continues. The House and Senate debating together, and now it looks like this contingent of people is on the move. I don't know exactly where they're going, but they seem to be going. I don't know if it's time for snacks. Maybe they're just going to pizza. But they're going somewhere, sort of becoming nomadic to some degree. Okay, I do apologize. Oh, Trump tweeted. Hold on, let me get to that. If Donald Trump tweeted, we want to see what he's saying now. 13 minutes ago, he tweeted. Oh, he just tweeted video of himself speaking earlier. Okay. Let's look at a couple of clips of that. Here is Donald Trump. Let's start at the top. Start at the beginning of this very, very strange speech. A lot of clips from our friend Aaron Rupar. Here's Trump's arrival. Trump's mic, I guess, didn't work for a while. Oh, that's perfect. That's the best. Oh, man. The mic just didn't work. That's too bad, huh? Everything about this presidency has become really sad. Just kind of waiting. And he's pointing to people and nobody can hear him.
Media will not show the magnitude of this crowd.
Oh, that's just fantastic. Okay, here we go. Trump claims there's hundreds of thousands of people there.
Even when I turned on today, I looked and I saw thousands of people here, but you don't see hundreds of thousands of people behind you because they don't want to show that. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. Turn your cameras, please. And
so Trump doing that routine, Trump saying here he will never concede.
all of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Well, you'll just be gone, I guess. Third world countries now.
Never been anything like that. You could take third world countries. Just take a look. Take third world countries. Their elections are more honest than what we've been going through in this country. It's a disgrace.
Okay. And then here he is saying, hopefully Mike Pence does the right thing today. And of course, Pence can't do anything.
And I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. All he has to do, this is from the number one, or certainly one of the top constitutional lawyers in our country. He has the absolute right to do it. We're supposed to protect our country, support our Constitution, and protect our Constitution. States want to revote.
All right. So that's Trump earlier, and I don't know how worth it is to keep looking at that. I'm told Dylan Burns is in D.C. right now at the protest. Seems to be in an alley of some kind, not super compelling stuff, but we will keep an eye on that. Another apparent confrontation here, and continuing to watch what is going on. Let's listen.
Report the counting that leads to victory by Joe Biden. He didn't recognize Joe Biden's victory for many weeks. I think it was at least a month after the election, and most Republicans in the House, and certainly a large number, most of those in the Senate, essentially went along with the president's questioning election results for week after week, during which time Americans who support the president felt that.
All right, I'm being told that the protesters have now made it up the steps and are actually getting closer to breaching one line of security, at least, at the House of Representatives. And if that's the case, it could get very, very scary very quickly. Here is a combination. Oh, yeah, look at this. Stephen Ignoramus has it. Let's see if we can find that. This is just tragic. This is really, really tragic if that's what's going on. Stephen Ignoramus, YouTube. Stephen Ignoramus seems to have that feed. And here they are. Yeah, it does appear as though they have at least made it onto the steps, and police are going to have to do something about it. Yep, they're at the steps. Wow, they're actually trying to force their way into the building, and there seems to be just one door there. Let's see. I mean, this is a crowd this size could absolutely break the door down, I think. All right. And then I'm told that on global news, there's actually been an explosion audible of some kind. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, wow. They're up there. Yeah, this is much worse than I imagined. Imagine if they start actually trying to destroy columns or actually I mean, listen, guys, if these weren't pro-Trump people, but this was a group of black folks or Muslim folks, would this even remotely be allowed? Like, am I crazy to be asking that at this point? Is it insane for me to wonder whether this would be different? It seems most of the audience agrees that would be a very different situation going on here. They're essentially occupying the U.S. Capitol, at least externally, on some balconies and the like. This is absolutely crazy. And here it does seem as though they are trying to push the door in. It does appear that is the goal at this point in time. If you're just joining us, buildings in D.C. around the Capitol have been evacuated due to protesters that are trying to break in, essentially. Oh, my God. And by the way, how many people are going to end up with COVID as a result of this, right? That's another question, which is a completely fair and reasonable question to ask. Things for the time being still calm inside. As you can see, this is the Senate. Let's listen.
Mr. President, I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Oklahoma, Senator Langford.
Senator from Oklahoma.
Mr. President, in America, we settle our differences in elections. What happens if you don't trust the election count, or you're concerned that so many courts denied or dismissed cases within hours after they were given thousands of pages of evidence? The reason we have a Congress to settle our nation's divisions and the rules of the Senate make sure that every opinion in the nation is heard is so issues like this can be addressed. The constitutional crisis in our country right now is that millions of Americans are being told to sit down and shut up.
Wow. Yeah. So he's completely out of his mind, and he's been one of the most extreme Senate members for a while. And then, oh, this is our friend Raul Grijalva. He's been on the program before. Let's listen to him. He's from Arizona. Great congressman. Let's listen.
Judicially discarded fringe conspiracy theories. But for the record, let's talk a little bit about Arizona. Arizona and state and local officials did an unbelievable job to ensure that the 2020 elections ran smoothly. Mr. Hickman, the Republican chairman of the Maricopa County Party, the largest county in the state of Arizona, said, no matter how you voted, this election was administered with integrity, transparency, and in accordance with state laws. Arizona showed up to the polls in record numbers. More than 3.4 million people voted, increases in every county, and 65% of all eligible voters in Arizona voted in the 2020 election. Arizona's cast their ballots up and down for Republicans and Democrats, and 11 electoral votes.
So listen, I see people in the chat saying that I don't get how serious this is. No, I do. This is going to go on for hours and hours. So I don't know if people want me screaming or what it is you expect me to do, but there is no possible way that with language we can overstate the seriousness of this. We have a significant portion of federal elected Republicans who are openly trying to execute a coup for the president in an election that they lost. And at the same time, the supporters of that president who lost are physically trying to break in to the U.S. Capitol building. They are actually up the steps and at a door, and it is conceivable that they will be able to break their way in. This is a global embarrassment. This sets absolutely insane precedent for the future of the United States, and there is no possible way to overstate how crazy this is. So anybody, what I don't know what you want me to do. If you want me to start, punching my microphone or bashing my head into this is a tragedy of unspeakable proportions happening to American democracy, and it's happening during a 100-year pandemic. And there's people everywhere with no masks. This is this is what, I mean, listen, is it crazy to say failed state? or a would-be failed state. Like, in other words, Biden will eventually be president. If the National Guard has to come out, they will. But if they got their way, it would be a failed state. Like, if these guys got their way and then these guys got their way, it would be a failed state. There's no question about that. But hopefully we will be able to resist that. But I would be very careful if I was in Washington, D.C. right now. I don't know if any of these people have jobs. That's a fair question. That's an absolutely fair question. And if they do, I guess they can afford to take the day off. But they are pushing and pushing and trying to breach that door. And as you can see, the scrum continues to advance towards the door. I do want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Very special shout out to everybody watching on Twitch. We've committed to Twitch for 2021 and we're here. And I really appreciate everybody who's been signing up. And there's an additional 16 folks who just grabbed Twitch subs. And I want to thank you guys. That puts us at 178. And then, of course, make sure you're following us on all these platforms. We're going to do some more coverage, take a break. I'll work on tomorrow's show a little bit, and I'll be back with more. This is going to go into the night. And unfortunately, it could get even crazier into the night. If you're watching on YouTube, we do have 68,000 people who just joined us on YouTube. We do streams like this all the time. If you're wondering who I am, if you don't like me, then there's many other streams. But if you like our coverage, please do hit that subscribe button. We have seen the subscribe button break actually during some recent streams because so many people hit it. So make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And also a big thank you to the 9 additional folks who signed up on my website, putting us at 187. Now, I'm told that there is action in the Senate. Let's take a listen.
Also is a threat to the Electoral College, which is something the Republicans have been supportive of the Electoral College traditionally and now.
It does look like proceedings have been stopped in the Senate. Do we know why they stopped them in the Senate? Pence, they evacuated Pence. Is that true? For security reasons? Is that actually what happened?
Rejecting votes because there was something wrong with the state's electoral system. Congress is going to have to write rules for those state electoral systems, and Congress has not. That different states have different practices, so that this would lead to a federalizing.
Let me look at that.
Of the election laws, which is something, again, the Republicans have tended to oppose. So I think it's been interesting to hear, I will call them conservative objections. Sort of conservative objections to Congress doing this and not just objections based on the actual who you want to win. So I thought that was actually very interesting.
You make some very good points. And Siobhan, you made that point earlier as well, that one of the dangers here for Republicans is weakening the Electoral College.
Pence has been evacuated, others sheltering in place, attempted coup in progress. They are literally attempting a coup. There is a legislative coup attempt and there is a physical coup attempt that is taking place. Absolute chaos. Mike Pence has been evacuated from the Senate for his own safety as protesters now are trying to, and I can't tell, but has this door been breached? I'm unable to see here, but it appears as though the door may have been breached. These are some of the most anti-democratic, violent attempts we've seen to overturn an election. Okay, the door has not been breached. It still looks intact. Mike Pence, the vice president, has been evacuated from the Senate chamber because his own supporters are acting so erratically. Now, how is no one being arrested? Shouldn't all of these people be arrested at this point? Are they waiting because they're calling in National Guard? Is it that what exactly is the explanation as to what is going on here? This is the worst of what we imagined could happen. Most of it has already happened. Most of it has already happened, and the next several hours are going to tell us which direction this is going to go. But Mike Pence has been evacuated from the Senate. Let's listen. Now, is Secret Service taking Pelosi out as well? Is that what's happening?
Without objection, the chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
Wow. So the House is now in recess as well.
The House has gone into recess. We are learning on Capitol Hill from following congressional reports up there from the reporters that are in the chamber in both the House and the Senate. Manu Raju of CNN is reporting that the Capitol is now on lockdown amid a tense situation with demonstrators outside the building, according to Capitol cops. One of their producers, Ted Barrett, tried to leave the building, couldn't because cops said the building is on lockdown. People are being ordered to stay inside their offices. Now, the House has gone into recess. The Senate has also gone into a recess subject to call of the chair.
Wow.
On Twitter, Molly Hooper, who covers Capitol Hill, saying that protesters are in the building. That was overheard, caught off mic while Senator Lankford in the Senate was speaking. Shortly after then, Chuck Grassley gavelled the Senate out subject to the call of the chair. So the U.S. Capitol locks down with lawmakers inside as the Trump supporters outside have breached the Capitol steps, according to CNN.
We're a joke.
And we've also saw reports that reporters were told that if these protesters enter the Capitol building, that the press would be ushered into their respective chambers, the House and the Senate, and the doors would be locked. Obviously, a lot unknown right now, and watching this as it all unfolds. Earlier,
do you guys understand what's going on right now?
As protesters enter. Can you get video of this?
Oh my God, protesters are in.
So we don't know. The protesters are not leaving. They seem to be giving each other more space. They have stopped trying to open the glass. There is no more banging. But I don't see Capitol Police here at this location.
Where is police?
3 reporters.
Where's the military?
Of the Senate doorkeepers. The Capitol Police have asked others to exit, but there's no Capitol Police in my position at this time. They seem to have moved away from this area. It now looks like the crowd is again raising in hostility. There are more pushes at the door, Judy. This is a real test.
Oh my God.
Literally a test of the.
They need them. We need the military, right? How you need the military? Am I right? Can someone gut check me here?
Into this building.
Just extraordinary what Lisa Desjardins is describing. She is located right above, as she says, on a balcony inside the Capitol building on the House side, looking down at protesters breaking the glass, attempting to break into the Capitol building. And Lisa, if you can still hear me, you say the Capitol Police are moving away. Does that mean there's no security on the inside? I know you're trying to get stay close enough to see what's going on, but we want you to stay safe.
There is not security within the first 20 feet of this door, but that is the only part that I can see. There may be security underneath me, underneath the balcony I'm standing on. But there is no police on this level, which there is a staircase immediately next to this door where protesters could obviously come up the staircase right away. I see a pair of police handcuffs on the ground that were abandoned.
Handcuffs are on the ground. That's never good.
Are using
If handcuffs are loose on the ground, something went wrong.
Flag to try and break through one of these windows. It's hard. I don't know the details of this glass. There is at least one pane on 2 windows that has shattered. The second pane seems to be holding up. I assume that is some kind of highly secure, maybe bulletproof glass. But protesters continue to try and break it open.
There are more and more discussions about the word pipe bomb being used related to something outside the Capitol.
On what's going on, I am told that both the House and the Senate have now adjourned temporarily because of these protests. No doubt out of a concern for safety of the members of the House and the Senate.
This is terrorism, right? Is there any other way to describe it?
Empty. Members of Congress, we presume, have found a place to go to keep them safe. We know the vice president regularly has Secret Service with him, but we don't know. We know that members of the House and Senate typically do not, other than the Speaker of the House. Perhaps, go ahead, Lisa.
She's trying to say something.
Judy, there are protesters. Protesters have now broken into the U.S. Capitol.
They're inside.
Through this door, I'm told by a side door, but I have seen protesters at this location.
They're inside.
We're moving to a different location for the moment. I will come back here if I.
The term protester seems like the wrong term.
Who has gotten into the building. It looks like protesters are now, perhaps some of them routing. Oh, here's a protester who is trying to open this door.
Oh my God.
From the inside. For those on the outside, he is unable to do it. The door obviously has been locked by Capitol Police.
Oh my God, screaming. There's a chance that a crowd of violent coup people is about to stream into the Capitol.
Is yelling at the protesters, telling them, oh, that protester has now opened the front door of the Capitol to let his fellow protesters in. There is a single Capitol Police officer trying to stop this.
One officer.
He is trying to get in between the crowd, trying to enter the U.S. Capitol. Just one police officer trying to stop a crowd of dozens.
The door is open.
Their way inside.
The door is clearly open.
And he is unable to stop them. They are now slowly making their way through what is a bottleneck, a small opening in this Capitol door.
Is this what she's referring to?
Step back because you can hear the shouting. I'm carefully watching the situation to keep myself safe. There are now some it looks like riot police also entering the door.
Oh my God, Trump turned on
trying
Pence.
To get around the protesters.
Government has fallen.
The only thing helping the situation is that the door is just barely open, wide enough for a single person to enter at one time. There is a Trump flag on the top of protesters trying to enter. There are protesters on each side of the door physically contacting police. So far, it has not come to blows, but there is pushing and shoving as police try to bring in their fellow riot police members and stop Trump protesters. Now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now protesters are now arriving in larger numbers into this breach.
What?
The Capitol Police are unable to stop them. It looks like a dozen or so, maybe more. This is an ongoing battle which police are losing. It looks like
police are losing control of the Capitol of the United States.
A stunning set of developments. Our Lisa Desjardins at the Capitol describing the Trump supporters who are gathered
The army is going to end up coming out. This is about to turn into a war zone in Washington, D.C.
Today they are gathered outside.
Are we a failed state? The president has now denounced his own vice president as his supporters have violently breached security at the U.S. Capitol building, demanding Trump be installed despite losing the election.
There are Capitol.
They're in. Look, now they're in.
Have a, show an ID of some sort.
Police have lost control of the Capitol building.
Is normally welcome, but in order and with identification. And this is clearly a breach of that.
They're streaming in.
Through. We don't know what their intention is. I believe they'd be walking from the House side to the Senate side.
Oh, hold on. She's trying to say something.
I can't tell. Maybe Lisa is there on the House side of the Capitol, and Lisa, I'm prepared to go to you whenever you have some additional reporting. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Judy?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. I have some of the protesters standing with me who have broken in, and I'm going to do an interview over the phone. Very good.
Look at Capitol Police. Look.
Sir, if you don't mind, you're on air with PBS. Thank you for talking with me. Can you tell me your name?
No, I can't.
Okay. Tell me, I know that you just broke into the U.S. Capitol. That's fine. Tell me why you just took this action.
We're fed up with our politicians.
This is obviously an extreme evidence.
The police shot at us first before we did anything.
Oh my God.
Did the police shoot at you today? Are you personally saying you saw the police shoot you? You were shot by a rubber bullet today. Can I see that, please? I do. I see it. Okay. But tell me that you do not think this is violent, breaking into the U.S. Capitol?
Was 1776 violent?
Oh my God.
It's on the same level.
They're out of their mind. 1776.
What is your goal here? What are you going to do after you stop talking with me?
I'm going to keep exploring this building. Yeah, we were just looking for the bathroom when we stumbled up there.
Oh, they're just looking for the bathroom. Okay.
Do you understand that this is something that you're telling people all over America that they should tear down public buildings. Is that a message that you want to send?
If the time comes where you feel like that's necessary, it's in our Constitution that we can raise up against our government.
What is it that has made you so angry? And this is my last question for you. I think people don't understand what is it exactly?
The election was stolen from Donald Trump. That's the main reason most of these people are here. Not me personally, but most of these people Donald Trump did not win the election.
Thank you for talking to me. All right. So these are two of the protesters that have now entered the U.S. Capitol. You can tell it is a mix of anger and also, frankly, just being cavalier about what they themselves are.
Here they come. Here's a big. They're streaming in.
That they've just taken.
Where is the police? Where is the military?
Lisa Desjardins there at the Capitol for.
If you can't secure the U.S. Capitol, what can you secure?
Into the building, we have to say broken in, because they've not gone through normal channels. They came to Washington to protest, to support President Trump, and now they have gone into the Capitol, which is normally a place where entrance is regulated for safety reasons.
They're streaming in.
This is all happening while the House and Senate have been in session to consider the count of the electoral votes. Both of those sessions have now gone into recess or temporarily adjourned for safety reasons. We don't know where the senators and the members of the House have gone. We assume they've been escorted somewhere to stay safe as possible. We also don't know the intent of these visitors, protesters. We don't know. We heard the gentleman say when the time comes to rise up against the government, and in essence saying that's what they're doing. So we don't know what that means, what their end goal here is today, whether they plan to enter the House and Senate chambers right now.
This is interesting. I am paying attention to the super chats. Trump isn't going to send in the military to stop his own movement. This is the event that Trump will use as justification for declaring martial law. Why is there no military presence? This was part of Trump's plan. He was always empowering the public to fight this for him. Trump is trying to take control. Wow. Wow. If you have just joined us, Capitol Police have lost control of the U.S. Capitol building. All counting of electoral votes has been suspended. Secret Service has removed Vice President Mike Pence from the Senate chamber for his safety. Capitol security have shut down and locked down the House and Senate chambers. Everything is stopped. We got through counting Alabama and Alaska, an objection on Arizona coming at about 1:10 p.m. Eastern time. A 2-hour debate started on Arizona. And in the midst of that, protesters breached the first barrier of security at the U.S. Capitol building. They have been streaming into the U.S. Capitol. Media reports are that they don't know where police are, sometimes describing one officer, sometimes describing handcuffs left on the ground. Unclear the significance of that. And this is partially a group of people, these protesters, who came over from a Trump event hours ago, apparently many of them needing to use the bathroom now because they've been at the Trump rally and then now they are here. But this is rapidly becoming a situation completely out of control. And I don't know from the standpoint of law enforcement what is being waited for. I don't know if at some point we are going to see military show up here. And I understand the point of Trump isn't going to deploy the military against his own supporters. It is not just up to Trump to activate either National Guard or federal military assets. That is not the only way that it can happen. And there is the hypothesis being made by some of the people in my audience that this is all a pretext on which to announce martial law. Questions as to whether a curfew will be announced in Washington, D.C. to put some end to this at some point in time. I have never experienced anything like this. The entire process of counting the ballots, typically meant to be perfunctory, has been shut down. All of these folks you see here have physically breached the U.S. Capitol. Let's listen.
We have learned now that as you can see, the protesters have breached the Capitol. They're inside. They're crossing over Statuary Hall, which separates the chamber that separates the House and the Senate. As you can see, they've made their way over into the House side, some of them on the House side, some on the Senate side, right outside these chambers.
Don't tell me they're getting into the chamber.
Who has covered Capitol Hill for many years is joining us on the phone. Niels, do we know how it is that they were able to get inside the Capitol?
Well, from my vantage point away from the Hill, I don't know exactly which door or doors they were able to breach, but there were clearly protesters and violent protesters who appear to have breached at least one of the doorways, if not multiple, of the Capitol building itself. And so there has been, there were efforts at locking down the building, but quite frankly, it appears that the sheer number of protesters just overwhelmed whatever capacity that the Capitol Police had.
Businesses seemed almost more prepared than police. Businesses have been boarding up for days, and yet protesters were able to breach the Capitol at this point in time. Here they are continuing to try to push into this door. The door at one point was open, and it looks like it's now been forced shut. And by the way, if you're just joining us, Donald Trump has now officially turned on his own vice president. He has officially turned. Look at this. Donald Trump tweeting 12 minutes ago. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. The president has turned on his own vice president. That is not going to calm anybody down. And we are seeing the United States. Listen, I don't think the country will fall. I think this will be gotten under control. But this is as turbulent as anything I've seen. And authorities and law enforcement unable to secure the Capitol. Jim Sciutto. Okay, let me get to Jim Sciutto Twitter. I'm told Jim Sciutto has information for us on Twitter. Let's take a look. I should really be following him. Jim Sciutto says, U.S. Capitol Police are asking for additional law enforcement for assistance, including federal authorities. Several suspicious devices outside the Capitol building. The word pipe bomb has also been used. So you may end up with multiple bomb squads. Having to get involved here. It's unbelievable. Don Jr. has openly denounced the protesters. Okay, let's look at that now. Where can I find Don Jr.? Let's see. Donald Trump Jr. This is wrong and not who we are. Be peaceful and use your First Amendment rights, but don't start acting like the other side. We have a country to save and this doesn't help. Wow. So Trump has denounced his vice president, but Don Jr. is denouncing the actions of the protesters. It's impossible to even keep up. 6 p.m. curfew has been announced in Washington, D.C. Okay, that's good to know. This is the exact thing every authoritarian around the world wanted. The end of the USA, not from without, but from within. This looks like an orchestrated stunt. Police numbers suspiciously small from the outset. Listen, that's starting to get conspiratorial. I don't understand where law enforcement is. This is, I mean, is someone going to clear the area? I genuinely don't understand what it is that they expect and that they are waiting for here. But Jim Sciutto says they are asking for more law enforcement. All right. I know in the midst of this, people are getting mad at me because I'm not thanking them. Thank you to the 33 folks who just signed up on Twitch. I appreciate that. That puts us at 220. And also, thank you to the 6 folks who just grabbed memberships at joinpacman.com. It's a crazy and insane day. Everybody who's been supporting, I really appreciate it. I'll just mention, and then we're going to get back to this. The best and most direct way to support our streams is go to joinpacman.com. Use the coupon code BETTER21. I won't spend a lot of time on it. A whole bunch of people have done it. I really do appreciate it. And it's going to be a very long day, as the barriers and the security has been breached at the U.S. Capitol. And it is absolutely, absolutely insane what we are seeing here. Let's see if Donald Trump has sent any other tweets. Trump now also, wow. So the president now realizing, oh, wow. You caused this. Give me a break. Or how about, come on, man. And then let's retweet that. Trump casually suggesting the fire he started be sort of put out, kinda maybe. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Trump now having to say this own move. Is there anything more humiliating than what is going on right now? Trump denouncing his own supporters. It is incredible what we are seeing happen today in the United States. Let's listen to the latest here from Judy Woodruff.
This president saying today it would damage our democracy forever, he said, if this Congress were to overturn the will of the American people, of the voters, of the courts.
The door is back open.
And take basically
Look at this.
The election into their own hands and decide that this is what should be. But that is exactly what President Trump is asking for. We're watching a remarkable scene outside the Capitol. We knew there would be protests today. We had no idea it was going to reach this level, that they would be climbing the walls, climbing the perimeter of the Capitol, breaching the perimeter of the Capitol, going inside the building, breaking glass, and so on. It is true that we don't see widespread acts of violence outside, but clearly there was violence for them to get into the building, and they have overwhelmed the security at the Capitol. Lisa Desjardins describing how the Capitol Police made room for them to come in because they were simply outnumbered. There were not anywhere near enough Capitol Police. I should also say that it appears that Vice President Pence has been escorted away to a safe place from the Senate chamber, as has the Senate President Pro Tem.
They're going in again.
Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who would be the ranking Republican presiding over the Senate if the vice president were not there. I believe what we're seeing in different reports is that the two of them have been safely taken away. What we don't know is what has happened to other members of the Senate, other members of the House. It does appear from this picture.
It is going to take years for the country to recover from this. And by that, I mean everything. I'm including the presidency of Trump, but it is going to take years. Lawmakers are being told they may have to duck under their chairs for safety. Every single person that broke in should be sent to Gitmo. Do you think any of this happening will influence Republicans to change their mind and not keep objecting? God, I hope so. The reason there's no law enforcement is probably because half of that raving mob is law enforcement. No, I don't think we have evidence. I don't think we have evidence for that. The situation very, very quickly getting out of control in Washington, D.C. They are now in the building. Look at this.
Get to the escalators, don't they?
They have broken in. They are in the building. They are occupying the U.S. Capitol. And we lost the video. Wow. This looks like Minecraft. Okay. We'll have to wait to get that feedback. This one is from across the street. Okay, hold on. National Guard on the way, according to Politico. All right, let's look for that. Politico. Let's see here. Mike Pence ushered out. Congress paused certification after a breach. Tear gas used in the rotunda. Members told to get gas masks from under their seats. Oh, my goodness. This is absolutely insane.
Sufficient. And once we know, but I will say, the other thing I will say is that once we have better guidance on where the members of Congress and the Senate are able to assemble, what we actually have ability and Congress has the ability to actually convene in alternate locations. They're not even all in the Capitol building.
Wow.
And so, you know, if we see the House or Senate reconvene, it is entirely possible that could happen, at least in terms of officially being able to gavel out or something like that, could happen in an alternate location. You may remember, and viewers may remember, that actually did happen when the earthquake came through the National Capital Region a number of years ago, and the Senate actually convened briefly. It was only a pro forma session. There was no business. But the Senate has, in fact, been able to convene off-site in the not-too-distant past.
Okay. And we're learning from CNN that the vice president has been evacuated from the Capitol grounds. Matt Fuller, Niels Lesniewski, who you know who reports for the Huffington Post, he just sent this out at 2:43, guns drawn in the chamber. John Bresnahan, who reports for Punchbowl News now, he sent out a tweet about 2 minutes ago, crowd now trying to break down doors into the House chamber.
Oh, my God.
Obviously, we can't see what's going on.
They've put masks on.
As both the House and the Senate.
Oh, my God. Look at this. Ruben Gallego, who I just interviewed, is instructing people to breathe slowly with gas masks on. They're slamming on the door. Everyone has gas masks. I can see flashes. The chaplain is praying as protesters have reached the doors. We have people slamming the doors. They've dispersed tear gas in the rotunda, telling members to put on gas masks. Stephen Cohen says Republicans need to call Trump and tell him to call off the protesters. Huge commotion. Individuals have breached the Capitol building. Wow. This is happening so quickly. Someone is continuing to try to talk to protesters. This is not the way to do it. Mark Wayne Mullen is trying to talk to the protesters through broken glass. Another big band out. I assume that means a band of protest. I don't think there's a big band, like a jazz band playing. I don't know. That's weird. Okay, we are now inside the chamber. Inside the chamber. I'm sorry, not the chamber. Inside the building, not the chamber. When's the last time the U.S. saw unrest like this, where a building of this stature is breached? Can our historians tell me what's the reference point for this? '60s? Wow.
They're drawing weapons.
Are they pushing out now, or are they trying to get into the Senate chamber? Okay, I'm getting reports of shots fired. Shots fired, D.C. Latest. Shots fired into the U.S. House chamber. Shots fired into the U.S. House chamber. Shots fired at the Capitol building. Shots fired into the chamber. Absolute chaos. Shots fired. We are having multiple reports of shots fired in the Capitol building. Shots fired in the Capitol building now being widely reported. Let's listen.
Capitol Eric Wasson from Bloomberg, he just sent a note through that there's an armed standoff at the House front.
Oh my God.
And there are guns drawn with someone attempting to reach and now this is continued to be a developing situation. And at this point, I think that the immediate concern is with the use of weapons and sort of this being beyond a peaceful protest. We left that point a long time ago.
Oh my God.
So we're just continuing to see.
All right, let's get back to PBS.
For the moment, and we're hearing some sort of alarm go off. Lisa, if you're there, we'll stay with you. We do want you to stay safe.
Oh my God.
Lisa, can you tell whether they've been able to get close to? Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, Capitol Police are now on this floor. They are now working to secure this floor. They are asking protesters to go on the ground. I have my press identification, and
oh my God.
The police now behind me.
All right. We're hearing shouts in the background. Lisa, we want you to stay safe. We're going to come away for just a moment until we can understand a little more about what's going on. Trying to understand whether they've been able to get into the House and Senate chambers, and of course, knowing whether the Go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead, Lisa.
The police have told me to stay down, and that's what I'm doing.
Oh my God.
And I also don't want to show video. This area of the Capitol is an area that is usually prohibited from showing video. That's why I've been selective in shooting video. Not that the Capitol is operating under any sort of rules at the moment. I want to try and be respectful while reporting this extraordinary moment in American history. The police have gained control for the moment of this corridor of the Capitol. I no longer hear protesters chanting beneath me in Statuary Hall, where they have been, but I do hear shouting as police seem to one by one be taking down the protesters, telling them to get on the ground, trying to control the situation.
All right, Lisa, we're going to let you get to a safe place.
Thank you, sir.
And
now they're letting her move.
Police attempt to clear the protesters out.
Oh my God, guns drawn. Oh my God, look at this. Look at what's happening.
We saw
they have protesters. They have long guns pointed at protesters who have them down on the ground.
There are others. So they are trying to. They are trying to restore some peace.
It looks like, I don't know if you're still with me.
Go ahead.
But they are evacuating the people who are still in the chamber. I am in a crowd with members of Congress.
It's an insurrection coup attempt.
Who are evacuating at this point. That portion of the Capitol is under control. I don't have a view on the rest of it at this time.
What's this guy wearing back here, by the way? I've never seen that before. What is that?
Gas masks.
Oh, it's a gas mask.
Perhaps for tear gas or just out of caution.
Holy shit.
Johnson. This is a large number of members of Congress that I'm walking out the door with now. I just can't tell you. Everyone is being calm.
This woman's a hero, by the way. She has not interrupted her broadcast for like an hour.
It will be hard to believe the actions that we are being forced to take right now.
Yeah, hard to believe. We want you to stay safe while you're coming down the stairs, Lisa. We do see House members. We saw one, as you said, with the gas mask on, as you described it, and we're watching other members trying to get to a place of safety while the police try to evacuate, apparently trying to evacuate these protesters who are moving into and taking over some parts of the Capitol. Lisa,
Judy, they are now.
Go ahead.
Sorry, they're moving us into. Looks like they're moving us into a basement. I'm not sure what the ultimate destination is here. Some kind of secure space in the center underground of the Capitol at this point. So I don't know if my signal will stay up, but I will try and keep in touch with you guys as much as I can. I have to take out. This is probably the safest place I can be. I'm with members of Congress and Capitol Police officers. Hello, I'm Congressman.
Well, more than anything, we want you to stay safe, and of course, we want all the, everyone there to stay safe as possible. It looks like Lisa's now been forced to move to another location. We are. This is our eyes and ears at the Capitol. Lisa Desjardins, who had been reporting on the debate inside the Senate and the House, is now joining members of Congress in evacuating the Capitol, ordered by police to leave so that they can try to get the protesters out of the building. Apparently, that's what we believe is going on. Lisa's keeping that camera with her. That's what's giving us access to what you see in the underground, or at least in the lower floors, lower levels of the Capitol. But you see people moving quickly, and we did see uniformed officers earlier armed as they were shouting and attempting to get the protesters to move. Unprecedented, historic.
Disgusting, too.
You know,
tragic.
When we think about the United States Capitol, we think about the debates that go on in the committee rooms and on the floor. This is not what we are used to seeing at the United States Capitol. But here we are, January the 6th, 2021. We have a president protesting an election result, and his millions of followers, thousands of whom have shown up in Washington today to breach the U.S. Capitol, to go inside to what end, we're not clear, other than that they want a different result.
Will anyone try to blame Antifa for this? Do you think anyone would be that stupid and brazen? Are we going to see that? Or is that, do we know that that's not going to be the case because Trump has also said be peaceful and Don Jr. has said be peaceful and so on and so forth? Or do they know that they can't do that in this case?
If you are somebody who works in the Capitol. So there's also the challenge of trying to figure out how to get out of here, whether by foot or by car, if the Capitol itself is on lockdown.
Scott Wong, talk about the protesters even getting onto the Capitol steps of the U.S. Capitol, where, as you know, if you're up there, you're not. Lawmakers are the only ones allowed on those steps.
It really is one of the most secure buildings in the country. There are people guarding the building at all times.
I want to tell you guys something. There are other countries where this type of thing happens more frequently than in the United States. And very often the culmination is that Trump would have to flee the country. Now, this is different. This is the United States, and this type of thing doesn't usually happen, and presidents don't usually flee the country. But we are like in a paradigm that is, it's essentially beyond words. It's essentially beyond words what we are seeing right now. Let's hear from Yamiche Alcindor, see what she knows.
Are you there?
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Judy. Essentially, yes, we are seeing the consequences of the president of the United States lying and telling millions and millions of Americans that an election was stolen from him. If this was happening in any other country, critics say we would call this a coup. We would call this an attempt to take over the government. That protester said he was thinking about 1776 when he told Lisa that he broke into the Capitol. And the president now is saying support our police, support the Capitol Police. But it really is obvious here that the president had been urged by fellow Republicans at times to condemn violence, to condemn people gathering today in Washington, D.C., and he chose not to do that. Instead, he chose to give an hour-long speech, more than an hour-long speech, saying, again, false claims.
Oh, my God.
And really getting people...
They breached the... Look at this.
Elevators down from the Senate gallery.
Look at this.
To avoid protesters. One thing you'll know if you've covered the U.S. Capitol for any period of time is that there are a huge number of back hallways and hidden.
They made it to the speaker's chair
of these buildings. So it appears that that is what U.S. Capitol Police did, escorting senators out of the Senate chamber in order to keep them safe. I have been texting with one of those senators and asked, are you and everyone around you safe and uninjured? And he responded, yes. He said Capitol Police first secured the Senate when the Capitol was breached and then evacuated us elsewhere.
I'm told that there are pictures of guns drawn in the chamber. Let's see if I can find some here. Oh, wait, hold on. Photos. Yep, look at this. Look at this. Oh, my God. That is the House of Representatives. Here's that protester who has broken in, yelling Trump won the election. This appears to be tear gas in the hallway. Oh my God. Now people are going crazy texting me about what's happening. Wow. This is absolutely these are terrorists. Okay. I don't even know why I'm calling them protesters. We're talking about terrorists here. Terrorists have breached, and there's really no other way to describe it. We have a guns drawn situation. This is absolutely. Oh, okay. We have Lisa back.
The realm of reality does this feel like for you? She turned to me, Judy, and she said, I came to this country from Guatemala, a third world country. I came here to get away from this kind of threat to government. And she just shook her head. You know, I think right now the Capitol Police do seem to be bit by bit trying to tackle goals, the first of which clearly was to get members of Congress and people inside the Capitol to safety. And it looks like that is happening now.
Lisa, have you seen any members who are embracing these protesters, supporting them? Because we know a number of them are supporting the idea of objecting to the electoral results.
You know, I am looking. I do not see any members who I know to be objectors in this crowd. I did speak earlier today to Representative Joe Wilson of South Carolina. This was after the first voting. It's a little loud right now because people are being told where they're supposed to go and where they can go. But Representative Wilson is one of the objectors, and this was when one of the buildings had been breached. And I said, had you heard about this? What do you think about this? And he told me he just hadn't heard about it yet. He had no comment on it at all. But I am very eager to hear what members of Congress supporting the objections say about this. Obviously, none of them want violence. None of them want this breach to have happened. But it has.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what their reaction is, whether they are embracing what these protesters are doing or whether they're going to speak up and say they've gone too far, because essentially their actions are what has brought these protesters to Washington and to the Capitol. So it will be interesting to see the explanations that we hear. But what the protesters have done is they've managed to put a halt to what was supposed to be the constitutional requirement. That
widespread reports that the Defense Department is denying a request by D.C. officials to deploy the National Guard. Which raises questions about how much of this is politically advantageous for who knows who. This is a dark day for the United States. I appreciate the continued support. 37 more people have just grabbed Twitch subscriptions. I really do appreciate that. And 17 more people have grabbed website memberships, which I really do appreciate it. We are all riveted to what is going on here. A breach at the U.S. Capitol. I'm going to do a full reset in about 5 minutes and catch everybody up. But we've never done anything. I mean, listen, this is the country feels like it's on the brink. And that's why we have 120,000 people watching right now across our platforms. This is absolutely and utterly insane. Let's listen. I'm going to step away and just take a 5, refill my water, and do a bathroom break. And then I'll reset everything that is going on for everybody.
Progress. And we know, as we reported a few moments ago, there have now been more armed law enforcement have been called into the Capitol area. So there will be, we presume, attempts made to clear the Capitol of the protesters. We saw some of that. Lisa was right there inside the Capitol a few minutes ago when we saw armed law enforcement, trying to get protesters out. But that's going to take some time to do. We don't know the course that this is going to take. This is all unfolded in a very unplanned, at least to us, unplanned unknown manner, and we are following it just as you are, as you're watching this. We weren't sure where, we knew there were protests. We did not know it was going to lead to this. And so we continue to watch. But for the time being, the business of the Congress called for in the Constitution to count the electoral votes has stopped. That's going to have to continue at some point after the Capitol is made safe. And Lisa, as far as we know, they haven't even been able to move on past the state of Arizona. So they've got another 47 states to go, plus the District of Columbia.
That's right. We were expecting today something like 12 hours devoted to the electoral process and to finishing the 2020 election. Right now, it is unclear that that could possibly continue today. I'd be very surprised if it can continue anytime soon. Obviously, with those pictures, it's very helpful for me to see the pictures that you're showing of the front steps, because here inside the Capitol, we're very blind as to how many protesters we're talking about, where are they? Are they still in the Capitol steps? So that's very good information for me and for those of us here to see that the protesters are still there, and still, I'm assuming perhaps threatening or able to get into the Capitol in some form. So this tells me that there's a very long timeline ahead before bringing back this electoral process. I want to also say a quick word about Capitol Police. You know, I've been a Capitol Hill reporter. I've had the privilege to be here for a long time. And they are some of the hardest working people, completely devoted to their craft. And they have lately been working very, because of the protesters, many of them, and because of the last year of upheaval in American politics. Unsung, untalked about Capitol Police have been working long hours. They have been devoted to their cause. They have been at their stance for this building. Obviously, there will be a lot to talk about how Capitol Police handled this incident, why this happened. But I just want to put in a word for them because I know these guys and women, and they're very dedicated servants.
All right, we are back.
I'm glad you did that, Lisa, because you're.
Let's just do a reset because this is we're now more than 2 hours in. I should do a reset because at this point, a lot of the people that are watching don't know how all of this started. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. If you are continuing to be here, we have. I mean, where do you start? Today was the day on which we were scheduled to simply count the electoral votes that were cast on December 14th. We knew that there would be, oh my God, look at this. We knew that there would be some objections. And indeed, after the acceptance of the Alaska vote, of the Alabama vote and the Alaska vote, there was an objection around Arizona. And at that point in time, the House and Senate separated and they were going to debate for 2 hours the merits of their objection to counting the Arizona votes. And look at what these people are doing. We are dealing really with this is I mean, just look at what's going on. During that 2-hour debate over Arizona, and remember, we were already expecting this to go late into the night because there were going to be objections in 6 different states. During the Arizona debate, protesters coming from a Trump rally just a few blocks away started attempting to breach the outer line of law enforcement at the U.S. Capitol building. And when it became clear that police may be outnumbered, they escorted out Mike Pence. Secret Service escorted out Mike Pence. And by the way, moderators, I see people in the chat attacking me saying that this is no big deal. If they're serious, I know some people are kidding. If they're serious, we gotta get them out. Okay, we're not going to do that. So then they actually breached the Capitol building, and the Senate and House chambers were locked down. There were guns drawn in the chamber. There was tear gas inside the building, and everything has been completely interrupted. This is a situation unlike any I've ever covered. Donald Trump then, on top of everything, fully denounced his own vice president. I mean, this is what we call a fall of government. Government is falling. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. The president has denounced his own vice president. Okay? And now we are in a situation where a 6 p.m. curfew has been put in place in Washington, D.C. There has been a request made that the National Guard be deployed, which we are told so far the Defense Department is denying the request. And that is where we are right now. It feels like the potential collapse of the United States. It absolutely feels that way. People talking about bomb checks and all these different things via Super Chat. There were reports of explosions we don't yet know. I mean, we have reports of shots fired and all of these different things. Let me just see if we can get to it. Twitter seems to be the place where we're learning most quickly what's going on. Anna says this is insane. The U.S. Capitol is on lockdown. A mob marching behind a Confederate flag stormed the U.S. Capitol. Look at this. He should be impeached and removed tomorrow. A lot of people talking about impeachment. And, I mean, listen, these are the people that Don Jr. just denounced. An hour ago, Don Jr. tweeted promoting the people that he just denounced minutes ago. This is wrong and not who we are. They are incoherent, my friends. They are completely and utterly incoherent. Let's get the latest update.
The protesters, but it is a stark split screen for that President Trump is really enjoying in some ways this calm while so much is happening.
Someone was shot
in the
inside the Capitol.
A woman was shot inside the Capitol. Did you hear that?
Sorry, I just saw a report about someone being shot, and that's not confirmed, so I want to make that clear. But it was startling to see just now. Yamiche,
a woman was shot inside the Capitol.
Well, Judy, that's disturbing if true. And what you hear here is that the president is watching all this unfold. Allies of the president are condemning this violence. But the president is not at this point having to reap some of the chaos that he sowed. He is sitting here armed in a bubble of security.
Oh, my God.
The Capitol is now completely breached while the Capitol is having to deal with the
Look at this. This is Benji Sarlin. I was in the speaker's lobby once. Oh, no, sorry. That's not the story of what happened right now. Just saw a woman covered in blood removed from the Capitol building on a stretcher. She appears to have been shot. Multiple reports now that a woman has indeed been shot in the Capitol building. This appears to be the woman. She was shot reportedly inside the Capitol building. Wow. Cell phone video of a woman shot in the neck just moments ago. This reportedly just in the last 5 to 10 minutes. A woman has been shot inside the Capitol. That is absolutely unbelievable.
The American people is in this moment choosing not to do that.
Well, the condemning the violence and asking people to respect the police, but as you say, only after weeks and weeks, days and days, months and months of questioning the election result and calling on people to protest in any form. I want to say I now am seeing a report. A D.C. paramedic source is saying that one person was shot inside the Capitol. We don't have that confirmed, but we are certainly looking into it. There are other news reports right now. This one from NBC is saying there's video of protesters inside the Senate chamber rummaging through senators' desks. So these are all things we're going to be following up on in our attempt to understand what's going on.
Can you imagine?
Whether someone has been shot. We did see when Lisa Desjardins was reporting from inside the Capitol, where she was following the protesters, trying to understand where they were and where they were going. You could see that police were armed. We didn't hear any shots while Lisa was reporting, but this latest information is that someone has been shot. So again, not confirmed, but we are
widely reported
to find out where things stand. Let's go to our Amna Nawaz, who has been reporting from just outside the Capitol. She's on.
This is like nothing we have seen.
That's a very safe location. It is very highly secured, and so when the Capitol went into lockdown, that is where we headed. The doors were barricaded, etc. It became clear at one point that the lawmakers who were seated in the chamber itself no longer conducting business. Business ended when the lockdown began. They were told to evacuate the chamber, which was thought to be the safest place for them to be. That was a crush towards the doors as everyone tried to get out of there. Reporters, along with senators themselves, staff, et cetera, were then hustled to, I'm not going to share my location for security reasons of where we now are.
Wow. Trump now trying to put out the fire he started. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law. Wow. Wow. That is unbelievable. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Today's violence is your legacy. Wow. Look at the audacity. It is unbelievable. It is absolutely and completely unbelievable.
Trump supporting flags. There's state by state flag. And there's also this chant we hear again and again from people saying, "This is our house, you work for us." And this is one of the messages that they were very intent on getting out to those members of Congress and to those senators, which is that this is not something that they want to see happen. They believe that those members work for them, this is their house, and that they want to see the election stopped in its tracks right now. So, Judy, right now we're keeping an eye on this crowd. As I said, it's sort of just a standoff in this moment. It's also unclear, I should say, if President Trump's tweet calling for calm has made it to the crowd. The chanting continues, the yelling continues, at times music playing continues. It's a very surreal scene, and you cannot see.
I'm thinking it'll probably take more than a few more hours to finish counting the ballots on account of this.
Press corps. So these are people from around the world who have come here to report on this part of the American electoral process. And I heard Yamiche mentioning earlier as well, I myself, as someone who's covered elections around the world for years, I'm finding this to be a very surreal scene, that here in America, at the end of this presidential election, or what should be toward the end of this presidential election, this is where we find ourselves, with this kind of scene, and thousands of protesters calling for the process to start. That message is being now broadcast out to the rest of the world, which is watching very closely to see how this ends. Judy?
Wow. Amna Nawaz at the Capitol, and you're absolutely right, surreal and beyond disturbing. We can report that Kevin McCarthy, who's the ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, is saying that someone was shot.
Yep.
The NewsHour is able to report from a source we find reliable that someone was shot in the chest inside the Capitol. It was not a uniformed officer. So we can assume it was a protester, but we don't know. There's another report that I read that CPR was being administered to this person. We're waiting for more information. But clearly events have taken a very, very dark turn at the United States Capitol, where supporters of President Trump have broken into the Capitol, have basically now have their run of the building from one end to the other, and are being pursued by security and asked to leave. And we now know, as we say, and I'll repeat it.
That's nice. They're being asked to leave.
Confirmed that someone was shot. Kevin McCarthy, the Senate Republican leader, the House Republican leader, saying, yes, someone was shot. And our own information at the NewsHour, someone was shot in the chest. And another report that...
So it's possible two people were shot, because there was a report about someone shot in the neck. We just don't know whether the location of the injury was wrong or whether there's two people.
Again, urging calm. I don't have the text of exactly... here it is. This is another tweet from the president just in the last minute or so. The president asked, quote, everyone at the Capitol to, quote, remain peaceful, quote, no violence, exclamation point. Remember, we are the party of law and order, end quote. And again, these are supporters of the president who are behind what you're seeing in all these pictures. And this is the president asking his own people to be calm.
Little too late.
At the Capitol, what are you learning? Lisa?
Yeah, I just was speaking to another member of Congress, Representative Mark Desaulniers. He's a NewsHour watcher. And I think this just speaks to the very strange mood that we're in. You know, as I told you, I saw some people with tears in their eye, fear on their face. Representative DeSaulnier said, "I love your cat." So I just want to convey that inside the Capitol, you know, there is some calm. There are some people who are trying to keep spirits high, like he is. Obviously, my cat is way more famous than I am, so that was an appropriate remark. But it's just more to the mood here. I think we are in an in-between time where people don't know what to feel. People are mostly texting their loved ones saying, "Hey, I'm fine. Everything's okay. I know you're seeing some alarming things on television." And then I see them text and turn to each other and say, "What's happening? I can't believe what is happening right now." So it is a moment of...
So there's a new report that it may actually be 3 people who have been shot.
Nobody, Lisa, wants to believe that this has happened, but obviously it has happened. We now have reports that a person was shot inside the Capitol, presumably a protester. We're told it's not law enforcement, so we're trying to get more information. And I know you, Lisa, and the rest of our team will be trying to get that information as soon as we can. But even before we heard that someone had been shot, the pictures, the scene.
This is an interesting point from Trey, who says, well, Donnie did tell his cultists to stand by. I guess this is what happens when they jump into action. Are the Electoral College votes secure? Yeah, they were rushed out at the very, very beginning of this. It was one of the first things that happened. They took the ballots out very, very, very early. And there are conflicting reports right now as far as the National Guard. Clearly the military is needed here. And there are conflicting reports about whether, hold on, where did I have that? I had breaking. A source tells me the Defense Department has just denied a request by DC officials to deploy the National Guard. But at the same time, there are other reports saying the National Guard is on the way. The DC mayor did announce a 12-hour curfew is starting at 6 p.m. And we are sort of waiting on the National Guard. 2 sources familiar tell me that Speaker Pelosi and Mayor Bowser have asked for the National Guard to come to Capitol Hill to clear rioters. One of those sources says DOD has not yet approved change of mission for the DC Guard. So clearly they need that. It's very clear that the National Guard is needed here. We continue to see this crowd that has breached the U.S. Capitol, and they are inside. There's a random smattering of officers here and there. And as you can see, it's starting to see as though there is a little bit heavier of a law enforcement presence. They've at least kind of created a perimeter here, and maybe they're going to start escorting some of these people out. Let's listen briefly and see what the tone is. I mean, at a certain point, if you're law enforcement and you know the limitations of what the number of people you have can do, I think you do what they are doing, which is to the extent that you're not at risk, you just try to create a perimeter and they wait for more people to show up. I don't know. And as you can see, there are more officers starting to enter. And I mean, at some point, it's just a matter of the numbers. If you don't have the numbers, you don't have the numbers. And conflicting reports about if, when, or whether the National Guard is on the way. But as of right now, there are just too few people to move a crowd this big. And they have breached the Senate chamber. They've breached the House chamber. It's absolutely unbelievable what's going on here. And really the questions now are, how long is this going to be allowed to go on? Let's see if Judy Woodruff has more news.
We're waiting to find out more about the individual who was shot inside the Capitol. I want to go back to the 2 gentlemen who are veterans of working on Capitol Hill. John Hart, who worked for a Republican, Tom Coburn, Democrat. Danny Weiss worked for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as her chief of staff. Danny, I didn't get a chance to come to you a few minutes ago, but I have to keep asking the 2 of you, What do you make of this as someone who knows that building and knows the work that goes on inside there day after day?
Yeah, it's extremely disheartening, and it's scary. There are a few things I've been thinking about. One is it's really unbelievable that the Capitol Police appear to have been unprepared.
Yes.
There have been a number of occasions where the Capitol Police have been significantly dressed down for failing to have proper procedures, and then they take better procedures. And again, members of Congress are dependent on the Capitol Police and the Sergeant at Arms for their security. It's difficult to second guess the police. However, after 9/11, there was a significant dressing down of the police because there was no evacuation process in place. There were, as I said earlier, police with guns running down the hallway, knocking on your door, yelling at you to run. And that was considered to be extremely inappropriate way to get people safely evacuated. The next thing that's going to happen is that, first of all, we don't know how the rest of the day is going to unfold. And in order for Congress to resume its work, the entire Capitol building will have to be cleared and swept. You don't know what anyone has brought into the building at this point. You don't know if anyone has found a place to hide in the building, and the police know that, and they know that it's going to take some time to restore the building and make sure that it's complete.
One of the things that I think is really important here, and I'm interested in hearing from people in the chat, is they should continue and finish the count today. Because the worst thing would be, listen, arrest everybody that you can. You've got to get this under control, curfew, etc. You can't let them actually delay the inevitable counting of the legal vote. It's very important in terms of precedent. It's very important listen, they've delayed it for a few hours, but you've got to finish the count. And it's extraordinarily important. And if these Republicans had any morality, they would say this wasn't ever actually going to prevent Trump from becoming the president. Prevent Biden from becoming the president. Because of what happened, we're going to skip the rest of our objections. We made our Arizona objection. And I think it is extremely important that they actually just get the count done and show that even this, as unprepared as Capitol Police were, they have to finish the count.
In the building earlier are now going to be reinforced, if they haven't already, by the National Guard. We know that Mayor Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., had asked the National Guard to reinforce D.C. police, anticipating these protests today that President Trump had called for.
Right.
He called for his supporters to show up in Washington. But clearly there was no anticipation that this would happen, or surely there would have been more security that would have prevented the protesters from getting...
Yeah, a lot of people making really, really good points. Yes, there is an alternate location where they can conduct business from. They talked about that earlier. They are absolutely able to do that. I see people saying, wouldn't you need to completely sweep the building before you can let people back in? Of course, yeah, this building is not going to be usable, certainly for some period of time, because that you need to go through everything. Who knows if a pipe bomb was left behind or whatever. Everybody's absolutely correct here.
Know that that it was not someone in law enforcement. So we are waiting for more information about that and about whether that's the only shooting incident, that's the only one we've seen reported so far. The other thing we want to share with you is that Joe Biden, who had been scheduled to make a statement today about the American economy, because here we are now just 15 days away from his becoming president of the United States. And you can see, this is the picture in Wilmington, Delaware, where he has been speaking to the American people, to the press, in recent days. He'll be speaking just in a matter of minutes.
Okay, that's good.
Just maybe 3:30 Eastern time. We're going to go to that.
So hopefully we'll see, what sort of calming influence Joe Biden can have. I think that's very, very important to see, as the chaos just will not stop. You still have a crowd of people inside the Capitol building. They've breached it. Look at this, people scaling fences. I mean, why do you need to get up there? What's up there that you need to get to? It's just the absolute worst of humanity. And as you can see, many people with no masks. It's just this is just the worst. Some of the and it looks like there's just stairs. Maybe they're just climbing for fun with a rope. I don't really understand that. But there's a lot wrong with a lot of these people. Just real quick, I won't take too much time, but there have been people who have been supporting, and I really appreciate that. I do want to say thanks to the 45 additional Twitch subscribers, 45 people, which puts us at 325, many of those Twitch Prime. I really appreciate that. And then also on our website, another 16, which is that 341? I think that my math is remaining sort of okay. And I see a couple people saying they're having trouble with the coupon code. The coupon code's working fine. Tons of people are using it. It's better21. It's all lowercase. And you can use it on your choice of memberships at joinpacman.com. We do have about 130,000 people with us today. 122,000 people with us right now. And I really appreciate that. We're all trying to figure out what's going on here. And at this point, I think moderators, there's a lot of stuff starting to happen in the chat that we need to deal with. And I see that you guys are handling it as best you can, but we're getting barraged by a lot of really horrible things. But what you can do to fight them is just make sure you're following if you're watching on Twitch or subscribed if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, let's listen again to Lisa Desjardins as we await a statement from Joe Biden.
There's the sign for Dunkin' Donuts, usually a gathering point for people to make contacts and have lunch. And what you see behind me instead, this is where people are sheltering. Several journalists are here, many staffers. You can see if you walk over here with me, a lot of folks have been watching. There's a single television here. A lot of folks here in the basement of the Capitol eager for news on the outside because we can't go outside right now, trying to figure out what the situation is. You can see these folks, we can't move to the other room of the cafeteria. They have separated the rooms. You can also see the employees over here. Hey guys.
My guess is that down in the basement there, her service isn't that great. The problem is with her video. It's not with PBS or ours.
Here inside their own workplace, unable to leave the Dunkin' Donuts area. And I think this is a scene of more people than most places in the Capitol, but this is what's happening all across the Capitol. People in offices not leaving their space, not sure when they can leave their space, staying calm, but unsure how long this is going to last.
Remarkable that they're staying calm, Lisa, under the circumstances. And no doubt members of Congress are assuming that once the situation or once the building is cleared, that at some point there's going to be a resumption of the counting of the electoral votes. We don't know whether that can take place today, tonight, whenever, but presumably they want to stay close by for the moment when that can resume. So we're waiting for more. We are told that Speaker Pelosi called for the National Guard to reinforce.
I'm getting a ton of messages from people trying to get information to me. I'm just triaging some of it, and I'll let you guys know. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to follow up and seeing what I want to communicate to everybody right now.
He is reporting that the Joint Staff, that's the military, the uniformed head of the military, telling him off the record, well, sorry, I'm not supposed to report this, it's off the record. But in essence, we're waiting to find out more about whether the National Guard will be called in at the Capitol. And so we wait.
Don't know how long.
We're looking at different reports from different media. If the National Guard is going to come in, are the protesters going to go willingly?
How long can it take the National Guard to get there, quite frankly? I mean, you'd think that they could get there in 30 minutes, and we've been waiting now for some time.
A fuss and say, I'm not going. What will happen? We know that at least one of them has been shot in the chest, waiting to find out the outcome there. You know, what's the condition of that person? Now I'm reading by this is from one of our colleagues, Courtney Norris, who says that a supporter of President Trump, one of the protesters, is sitting inside the office of Speaker Pelosi, carrying on his protest inside the Capitol. That may very well be an area very well be an area that the public can be invited into. People are received in the offices of the members of Congress. I'm seeing another report now, in essence, that a woman is seen receiving first aid due to a gunshot injury to her neck after being shot inside the Capitol. This is another news source.
Wow.
We will try to, again, confirm exactly what happened.
So this is a CNN feed that we have here. And as you can see, members of Congress told to shelter in place, and it's just complete and total chaos. If you do want chicken and fries, though, there does seem to be a little booth available there in the bottom left of the screen. And anyone's guess whether it's a cornflake crust on the chicken tenders or what that is, but probably not the time for that. If I were there, I don't know that I'm getting tenders at this point in time. We are standing by, I guess, for the National Guard to arrive, and we're also standing by for President-elect Joe Biden. It does look like there is a show of force here arriving, and this seems to be a strong contingent of troops there that are arriving. And troops, I'm using the term loosely. It's not clear that they're military. It seems as though they've reestablished some kind of a perimeter here, and that hopefully they're going to be able to get this under control in relatively short order. There has also been a curfew announced for Washington, D.C. for 6 p.m. Now, in the meantime, I'm also getting reports that the Kansas and Georgia state houses are at risk of also being breached or may have already been breached. Kansas and Georgia. Georgia, we know the political significance of. Kansas, I don't know. Kansas, I'm not so sure of, but we're starting to see it appears as though we're starting to see the arrival maybe of additional elements of law enforcement. And I'm told that police right now are in the process of forcing this group out. Let's listen a little bit. Now we do seem to be seeing more police than protesters for the first time in a while, and it seems they are forcing people out.
One of the last people left in here.
The governor of Virginia is sending the Virginia National Guard and 200 Virginia state troopers. That seems like it will be useful.
Oh, all right. We are the new conservatives! All right. Good job, man. Okay, that was intense. Guys, if I have to put in one more full day as a nurse in the hospital, I'm going to post another Instagram video. I guess. Somebody
Okay, so police, at least in this area of the Capitol, reestablishing some control, and getting the crowd moved out. And let's see how quickly, if and when some of these additional resources show up, they can get things under control.
Today was a mere formality, but then there were protests, there were objections raised by a handful of Republican senators, by over 100 around 100 Republican House members at the behest of President Trump. They were asked to object to the electoral count with no factual basis whatsoever of any irregularity, simply an allegation that something went wrong. We heard Congressman Steve Scalise of Louisiana.
Hey, this might be interesting. Is Fox News covering this? Let's just see what's happening on Fox News. I'm curious what their commentary is. Yeah, I'll allow ads, I guess, in exchange for being able to see this. Pause on this site. There we go. Okay, we already did that. Let's refresh. I'm wondering how Fox News is covering what's going on here. Let's take a look. What could they possibly be saying?
Believed to be reportedly shot, and they said, "Are you going to go home?" Because the D.C. mayor has asked for a 6 p.m. curfew, and they aren't going to go home. But what we see now, the steady stream you're looking at, are people that had come down. They originally were at the Ellipse, where we were, where the president told them that we're not giving this election up, and that he indeed won. And now they all went down to the Capitol, and a lot of them are starting to leave, starting to stream out where we are. You know, I'll tell you, Bill, the sign that we saw the most is that just said Trump won, Trump won. And when I was at the president's speech on the ellipse, the chant we kept hearing was fight for Trump, fight for Trump. And clearly it was a call to action that we've seen unfold here in the streets. And
so I do think it's a good thing that the crowd seems to mostly be moving away from the Capitol rather than towards it. But you still have these people, including one person with a no socialism sign. Of course, no risk of socialism in the United States anytime soon. We know that. They seem to be staying, and we're going to be hearing from Joe Biden soon. So this could go two ways. There's a curfew starting at 6 p.m., which is just a little over 2 hours from now at this point. This could start to dissolve with the curfew coming, people getting bored, and quite frankly, getting hungry and having to go to the bathroom. And it getting maybe colder. You may see people start to leave, particularly as Virginia National Guard and state troopers and others show up. Or as night falls, it could get even crazier. It's really just unpredictable at this point. Let me see some super chats and see what's on people's minds. Are they chanting "Bring Mike Pence"? Yeah, they were chanting "Bring Mike Pence." Trump supporters on Twitter. Those look like Antifa. Anyone can put on a red Trump hat. Yeah. Look at your Twitter. Kaylee just said Dump is sending the National Guard. This is crazy. Okay, let's look at that. Press Secretary Kaylee McEnany. At President Trump's direction, the National Guard is on the way, along with other federal protective services. We reiterate President Trump's call against violence and to remain peaceful. All right. Trump is sending the National Guard to put down the violent protests he incited. All right, so Trump now agrees with the National Guard going in. Trump agrees with the National Guard. And of course, there are some very cynical folks who are saying this is all part of Trump's plan to have a justification to declare martial law. I don't think that that's going to happen. Mike Pence, I am told, is tweeting. Let's see what Mike Pence is now saying. Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence. Peaceful protest is the right of every American, but this attack on our Capitol will not be tolerated, and those involved will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The violence and destruction taking place at the U.S. Capitol must stop, and it must stop now. That's capitalized, my friends. Anyone involved must respect law enforcement officers and immediately leave the building. So they seem to know there is no reason to keep this going.
Extent of the law. So, Yamiche, I'm looking to you. This is Vice President Pence, loyal to President Trump, who called these protesters out. But now you have the vice president saying that they will be prosecuted.
That's right. And the vice president's statement at this point is more biting, more pointed than President Trump's statements. Now, President Trump is someone who is a communications president, a reality TV president. He has called into more newsrooms than any other president in history. And right now, we have not actually heard from the president. He is watching this from what I'm told from the West Wing of the White House in this security bubble of the White House. Things are very, very calm here. A complete difference from what we're seeing happen on Capitol Hill, what we're seeing happen in cities and states across the country. The president here is being urged by both people inside the White House as well as people who have left the White House who used to work for him to say more, to be more biting in this, to really condemn people and tell people to go home. But the president hasn't done that. The White House press secretary is tweeting much like the president. Again, both of them not coming to the camera, not saying in person what they want to say. But the White House press secretary is saying that the president has pushed for the National Guard to come and help out. There were reports at one point that there was some hedging on whether or not that would be something that the president would want to do. So what we see here is the president taking to social media in a moment where Americans are simply terrified. And I have to say, Judy, the false information has consequences. The conspiracy theories has consequences.
Yeah,
I'll say. What we're seeing today, we are seeing the consequences of the president's actions.
So I've not heard, at least at this point, when we expect the National Guard to show up. But at least for the immediate crowd that's hanging around at the Capitol, they don't seem very interested in leaving. Now, this group that we have on screen here, they were successfully pushed out of the Capitol building by law enforcement. They were inside and they have been pushed outside. And some slight, very slight semblance of reestablishing a perimeter has been seen now. And at least these folks have been pushed out. But who knows whether they will be able to reestablish themselves back inside. A number of different streams. Let's see again how Fox News is covering this. The National Guard is on the way.
As far as storming the Capitol, stopping the proceeding today, one of the demonstrators I talked to called that a victory, but also said that it went too far. As far as the scene set around here, it's cold, it's brisk. People are walking around. They've got their flags at the ready. Mostly people milling about. And one of the points that the demonstrators are making is that this is different from what we have seen with the BLM-type demonstrations, because aside from some of the things that were broken getting into the Capitol, and disregarding the reports now of the woman who was shot, aside from the things that were broken getting into the Capitol in terms of doors, they say there is no vandalism taking place.
Oh, listen to that. Listen. So this is... Oh, wow. So first of all, other than breaching and fighting with, and you see a large group of law enforcement in the background, other than breaching and using the banisters to attack police and breaking into the Capitol and breaking windows and rummaging through the offices of people and slicing open with box cutters the tent, and look at this, breaking a window and going through. This is different, guys, than Black Lives Matter, because other than all of those things, it's nothing. There's nothing violent happening. Does that make sense? Does anybody? I sound very stupid saying that. I feel very stupid saying that. That is pretty amazing. That's the framing.
So the police generally will try to stand down, be as low profile as possible to avoid any friction. But that moment they show up, and the moment they show up in force, the people who showed up here looking for a fight get that fight, and you get all the bad images that get splashed all over, everything from the internet to cable news.
Unfortunately, Mike, you have too much experience on the streets watching protests across the country and around the world from your previous time in the Middle East. Mike, thank you. Mike Tobin there. The Vice President, Mike Pence, writes on Twitter, peaceful protest is the right of every American, but this attack on our Capitol will not be...
All right, so that's on Fox News, and then here's CNN.
How it happened. And he is culpable for this. You know, Winston Churchill said dictators ride to and fro upon tigers which they dare not dismount, and the tigers are getting hungry. The president sits in the White House, and the tigers are loose at the Capitol. Let me just say one more thing, Gloria. I am the son of an immigrant who fled a country because of scenes like this and came to the United States because this was a country of law. This is a country of laws, and many of us share that story. I am in tears today to see this scene. This is not an American scene, and this was not a necessary scene. And I understand completely why it happened.
Gloria?
I'm heartbroken. I spent 10 years walking up and down those steps, covering Capitol Hill, having a great deal of respect for the people who serve in that Capitol. Most of the time, by the way, talking about policy, even with Senator Santorum over there. And I watched this today, and I said, that's my Capitol. That's my house. That's our house. And
So these are the scenes, and Joe Biden is going to be speaking shortly. So we are keeping an eye on that. Oh, they're talking to Jamie Raskin, who's inside.
About what we say, but I am in a safe location, still on the Hill, and I think that all the members are safe right now, as far as I know.
Where were you when they breached the Capitol and got inside, these protesters?
I don't know when they actually breached the Capitol, but I do know there were repeated efforts to barrel into the Capitol chamber, and there were, I was in the chamber then, and there were protesters who were trying to ram up against the doors, and they seemed to be roaming for a while.
Were you in the chamber when this happened?
Yes.
What was going through your mind?
We experienced a terrible family tragedy in the last week, and so I had one of my daughters with me, and I had a son-in-law with me because we wanted to be together, and I thought I could show them the peaceful transfer of power in the United States of America. So what was really going on in my mind was their safety, because they were not with me in the chamber, and I just wanted to make sure that we could get back together, and we're all back together, and we are safe now.
Yeah, Congressman, we are sorry for your loss, the tragedy that you experienced this week, and now here we are with the Capitol being breached. What were you told about security heading into today?
I'm not the best person to ask that, just because I was, so distracted with our terrible family misfortune. We were certainly told to take care that the Proud Boys in the right wing was being encouraged to come to Washington by President Trump, and that we needed to take care, take precautions, and to stay inside the buildings as much as possible.
What have you learned about, and obviously you can't share everything with us, but what have you learned about what comes next?
But I don't know, but I'll tell you this, that every single member that I've spoken to is absolutely determined to have us complete the counting of the electoral college votes, as is demanded of us by the 12th Amendment of the Constitution. And
it's being reported that Vice President Mike Pence just unfollowed Donald Trump on Twitter. It's being quite widely reported, and I don't know if anybody can confirm that to me. But in the last couple of hours, we have seen what appears to be a complete and total separation of Donald Trump denouncing Mike Pence earlier today. And I know it's like, who cares who follows who on Twitter? But if indeed you are seeing a vice president and a president completely at odds over the fact that the vice president isn't willing to try to steal the election for the president, it is really crazy. He's still, well, there's two accounts, remember, guys? There's two Pence accounts and there's two Trump accounts. Who knows? In any case, what we do know is that Donald Trump did denounce Pence just moments ago. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. So a president denouncing their own vice president, and I'm told that he unfollowed Trump's main account. Okay, yeah, that's what it's. Again, they each have two accounts, so I'm not surprised that there's a little bit of confusion as to exactly which one it is.
More people were affected than would have been affected a year ago. Is that many of the congressional offices have either no staff or very little staff because of the coronavirus. So many people in the Capitol complex, like so many Americans, are working remotely. The Capitol complex has some 20,000 employees. That's down to a mere fraction these days because of the coronavirus. Now, on the other hand, today was probably the most I've seen of staff in a year, and that's because it's the first week of Congress and it is the Electoral College certification. So fewer staff are here than usual, but more than we've seen during most of the coronavirus. One other note, Judy, I have seen Capitol Police gathering in a stairwell in the building that I am at. They clearly are trying to figure out their next steps. They are organizing. I obviously didn't speak to them. They have a job to do. But I can tell you that they're organizing, they are gathering in their groups here. I don't know what their next step are, but they're clearly trying to figure that out themselves as well.
Yeah.
Lisa Desjardins reporting from the Capitol complex. Lisa's been there for us on the inside as our eyes and ears. Lisa reporting on there are law enforcement trying to get things under control. We know that both the governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, as I reported a few minutes ago, said he's sending in the National Guard from his state. I now know I can report that from Maryland, the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, has said that Maryland is sending in state troopers and National Guard as well to help get the Capitol, get the Washington, D.C., and get the United States Capitol under control, under a safe, to a position where it's safe for people to be there. I just want to share also the New York Times is reporting, Maggie Haberman, who typically covers the White House, is reporting an explosive device was found at the Republican National Committee and detonated safely. So that's another development we will be following today.
That's someone else.
Danny Weiss, who worked for Speaker Pelosi for several years. You've been at the Capitol. You have decades of experience in the building. You've been talking to folks. What are you learning?
Well, most members seem to be safe. Staff seem to be safe. They're reporting that they're locked down. As Lisa just reported, many of them are working from home. Only staff that were needed for today's procedure were in the Capitol or in the House office buildings. But you know that they're deeply concerned. And, this is an institution. Okay, so I've worked there for a long time. It's an institution that has done a lot of good. It's an institution that has done a lot of bad. I personally care about the institution. I know a lot of members do and a lot of staff.
So there are reports of people continuing to be inside Nancy Pelosi's office. There are reports of videos of, police protesters, D.C. Let's take a look at that. Of selfies being taken between police and so-called protesters. But it may be difficult to find those right now. We will have time to see exactly what the response was from different elements of law enforcement to this entire thing. And we are standing by for Joe Biden. Joe Biden expected to speak very, very soon here in Washington, D.C. They still appear to be trying to breach back in, to get back in. And if you were watching earlier, these insurrectionists actually did get into the Capitol. There are reportedly still some inside. Eventually, they got this door closed and got people out of it. But it continues to be an absolutely chaotic situation, and we don't really know how much longer it's going to go and or what the repercussions will be in terms of the counting of the ballot. And as I said earlier, I think it would be very important to finish the count today and not to allow this to succeed. I mean, they've succeeded in delaying it some hours. There's no question about that. But it really should not be allowed to succeed in any kind of serious way. I do want to pull up the Washington Post feed as well, because they've been covering this and they do a good job. And actually, it sounds like Libby Casey is explaining what's going on. Let's listen.
Law enforcement on site to control the mob.
That's exactly right. And when this all began, when we were first evacuated, I spoke with a staffer who she right then and there was very scared. And that was early on in this, before the breach occurred. And she said, I've never seen anything like this. And I asked her, well, why do you think we're all being, forced into the basement? And she's like, I really think it's because the Capitol Police are stretched thin. They can't be in here and protect all of us in different parts of the Capitol and, stave off the people who are outside trying to get in. So they have to pick where they need to be and where they need to put full force. And right now is trying to get people to not come inside. So that is why she said we were probably put into the basement area really early on, because they saw this threat coming. This is just as you said, this is an end to Trumpism, and it's also, this is not about being a Republican and being upset about an election. This is a whole other element. This is something that we just have not seen in our modern history, and it is because of the rhetoric of the president and also the Republicans in the Senate who, you and me and James, who were talking the week of the general election about when will Mitch McConnell come out and say that Biden won? When will these Republican leaders?
Here is video of certain officers taking pictures with the protesters.
ACAF.
Unbelievable.
ACAF.
Truly unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Wow.
Chuck Schumer, who's the ranking Democrat in the Senate, both asking President Trump to speak to his reporters to urge them to leave the Capitol. So these requests are coming into the president from the Democratic leadership, from the Republican leadership. We have the Vice President of the United States calling on these protesters to stand down, saying they will be prosecuted, he said, to the full extent of the law. My colleague Nick Schifrin, who covers national security, covers the military, the Pentagon, and the State Department for us. Nick with some information. Nick, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Judy, over the last hour or so, it's been really back and forth when it comes to the National Guard. D.C. National Guard deploys through the Pentagon, whereas the Virginia and Maryland National Guards would deploy through their governors after being asked. We now have confirmation from the Pentagon that the D.C. National Guard will deploy into Washington, D.C. and the area around the Capitol. A statement from Chief Pentagon spokesman Jonathan Hoffman.
Question is when?
The Guard has been mobilized to provide support to federal law enforcement in the district, and then discusses how the acting Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, has been in contact with congressional leadership, and the Army Secretary McCarthy has been working with the D.C. government. That's led, of course, by the mayor, and the statement goes on to say the law enforcement response will be led by the Department of Justice. And Judy, that speaks to fears within the Pentagon until this afternoon, I should say, that the D.C. Guard would be misused. There were a lot of concerns how the D.C. National Guard deployed in June during the George Floyd protests, and so Joint Staff leaders, Pentagon leaders, Army leaders took pains to restrict how the Guard could be deployed. They weren't allowed, as of this morning, to have weapons. They weren't allowed to have any armored vehicles, and they weren't allowed to use any helicopters like they did in June. But again, that was as of this morning. So this is new. This is just in the last hour or so. The D.C. National Guard has been activated. The entire Guard, all 1,100, has been activated because of what's happening at the Capitol, and they will be assisting law enforcement in clearing the Capitol.
Wow.
Just one more, Nick, in an extraordinary turn of events this afternoon. You have the D.C. National Guard, as you're reporting. Earlier, we had been reporting both Virginia. The governor, Ralph Northam of Virginia, said that the Virginia National Guard was going into the district to help at the request of Mayor Bowser.
So we are presumably just moments from hearing from Joe Biden. I know I've fallen behind on thank yous. I do want to thank the 53 people who just grabbed Twitch Prime subscriptions, which is amazing. And also another 26 people signed up on my website, putting us at 420 today. And really appreciate the support. You can grab a membership at joinpacman.com. It's really quick. It's really easy. And we continue to follow what it is that is going on in Washington, D.C. For the time being, the actual count of the ballots has been stopped. It has been stopped due to this insurrection taking place with a breach of the Capitol building. It is all shut down. It would be very important to resume as quickly as possible to prevent them from actually having the impact of delaying this even a day. And we knew it could go late into the night or maybe technically into tomorrow, but it shouldn't be allowed to go any later than that. And so hopefully they are going to be resuming the count, maybe in another location, relatively soon. So we continue to this door. Oh, so now somebody's speaking on a megaphone. Let's see.
News organizations. I heard him say Kayleigh McEnany at the beginning of his statements, so I think he's letting them know that the president is sending in National Guard troops and has approved that. So now he's inciting the mob to go attack journalists.
Oh my God. Oh no, that's not bad. I was going to say, oh good, they're saying go home. Now it sounds like the guy's reportedly saying go attack journalists.
Organizations. Let's go back to Rhonda Colvin. Rhonda, sorry to interrupt you. I was interested to see what the mob would do when they learned that the president has called for the National Guard to come. And I think we have an answer that one of them is asking them to go attack the hardworking journalists of America. So in the meantime, Rhonda, I wanted to get back to you at this issue that Democrats are having to be the ones to sort of call for a restoration of order here in much louder voices than Republican leadership.
Yeah, that's right, and that kind of goes part of the course of what we've seen over the last 4 years. I've spent many hours, pre-COVID, of course, when journalists, we were able to...
All right, so we are seeing that. And then let's take a listen here.
If you can pan a little bit that way, Judy, I want to show you, there's still a significant contingent of people on that center stairwell, but even that has thinned out just a bit. So if I were to update people on sort of what's been happening out here, there's definitely fewer protesters. Maybe because of the cold, the tear gas also contributed a little bit, but people are by and large starting to leave some of this location. You'll see some folks walking around behind us as well. There's now many more heavily armed guards, law enforcement officials, some who we saw with emergency response vests on, who have taken up a position outside the perimeter and seem to be part of that line now holding people back. There's a handful of DC Capitol Police who have been here from the beginning who are still in those same positions. But again, fewer protesters now engaged in direct confrontation, now down to sort of a smaller, hard...
At a certain point, you have to set a perimeter and anybody who crosses it gets arrested, right? I mean, it's like at some point you have to set a limit.
Enforcement. We have not yet seen any significant arrival of National Guard troops or any other reinforcement troops. We're hearing sirens and we see cars pull up every now and again. But I have to tell you, from here, Judy, we haven't seen a significant increase in that kind of heavier law enforcement or official presence. We'll let you know as we do, but maybe they're hoping that sort of over time, as the cold overtakes people and the tear gas is deployed, that the crowd will continue to thin out.
Oh, here's Joe Biden.
More. Tensions seem to have gone down just a little bit, but we'll come back to you as we know more. Judy?
All right, Amna, thank you from outside the Capitol. And now to Joe Biden speaking to the press in Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, great. There's no audio. Oh, there it is.
I've been watching. At this hour, our democracy is under an unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself. An assault on the people's representatives and the Capitol Hill police, sworn to protect them, and the public servants who work at the heart of our republic. An assault on the rule of law like few times we've ever seen it. An assault on the most sacred of American undertakings, the doing of the people's business. Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America, do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos. It borders on sedition. And it must end now. I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. You've heard me say before in different contexts, the words of a president matter, no matter how good or bad that president is. At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. And therefore, I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege, to storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection.
Right.
The world's watching. Like so many other Americans, I am genuinely shocked and saddened that our nation, so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment. Through war and strife, America's endured much. And we will endure here, and we will prevail again, and will prevail now. The work of the moment and the work of the next 4 years must be the restoration of democracy, of decency, honor, respect, the rule of law, just plain, simple decency. The renewal of the politics. It's about solving problems, looking out for one another, not stoking the flames of hate and chaos. As I said, America's about honor, decency, respect, tolerance. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. The certification of the Electoral College vote is supposed to be a sacred ritual, which we affirm. The purpose is to affirm the majesty of American democracy. But today's reminder, a painful one, that democracy is fragile, and to preserve it requires people of goodwill, leaders with the courage to stand up, who are devoted not to the pursuit of power, or the personal interest pursuits of their own selfish interest at any cost, but of the common good. Think what our children watching television is thinking. Think what the rest of the world is looking at. For nearly 2.5 centuries, we, the people, in search of a more perfect union, have kept our eyes on that common good. America is so much better than what we've seen today. Watching the scenes from the Capitol, I was reminded, as I prepared other speeches in the past, I was reminded of the words of Abraham Lincoln in his annual message to Congress, whose work has today been interrupted by chaos. Here's what Lincoln said. He said, "We shall nobly save or merely lose the last best hope on earth." Went on to say, "The way is plain, peaceful, generous, just. A way which, if followed, the world will forever applaud and God must forever bless." The way is plain here, too. That's who we are. It's the way of democracy, of respect, of decency, of honor, and commitment as patriots to this nation. Notwithstanding what I saw today and we're seeing today, I remain optimistic about the incredible opportunities. There has never been anything we can't do when we do it together. And this god-awful display today is bringing home to every Republican and Democrat and Independent in the nation that we must step up. This is the United States of America. There's never, ever, 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 ever been a thing we've tried to do that we've done it together. We've not been able to do it. So, President Trump, step up. May God bless America. May God protect our troops and all those folks at the Capitol who are trying to preserve order. Thank you, and I'm sorry to have kept you waiting.
Wow. Apologizing
Biden,
for running late.
Talking to the press there.
I basically agree with everything other than Biden saying it's just a couple of people that are the problem. It's more than just a couple of people. It's not nearly everyone. It's not even half the country. But hold on.
You heard Joe Biden describe what he called disorder and chaos at the Capitol. He said this borders on sedition. It must end. I call on this mob, I'm reading Joe Biden's words, to pull back. And he went on to speak about the word.
Yeah. So overall, completely reasonable and much needed speech. And there goes Joe Biden. Let's see what he.
About my safety, security, or the inauguration. I am not concerned. The American people are going to stand up and stand up now. Enough is enough is enough.
Okay. Oh, so I think the question that was asked was, is Joe Biden worried about his security around the inauguration? And he said, no. He said that that is not a concern for him at this point in time. So the crowd continues. We are anticipating that the National Guard is very, very close to showing up. So here's what I think we're going to do. We've been live for 3.5 hours, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this stream and work on tomorrow's show a little bit because I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. And then once the curfew starts and maybe the counting resumes and the National Guard arrives, which we're expecting to be in the next couple of hours, we'll get another stream going and I will be back with everybody. Okay, so that's the plan. Thanks for joining me. If you subscribe free on YouTube and follow on Twitch, you'll be notified when I go back live in a couple of hours. All right, we'll see everybody soon.